Cool, cool, cool. All right, everything's working. We're gonna be right back. All right, we are back. Whoo, okay. This is a lot of talking. So we're gonna cruise through the play booster set review. And then, well, this one's pretty good. You can't see it because of the green screen. So the flavor is lemon cake. It's a lemon cake protein bar. It's pretty good though. All right, so we've done white and blue. We're gonna do black. And then we'll do multicolor, colorless, and then the lands. Got life gain lands. Ooh. Evolving wilds. Let's include a courtyard. And then we move on. Okay, so we're on black though. We're gonna do black after we finish mowing this bar. This is pretty good. It's weird. It's weird. Because normally it's not the flavor you'd expect out of a protein bar. But I like it. And then we'll do so the jumpstart stuff I'll go look this up. So the special guests so some special guests are. It might be. Oh, so none of the special guests. Gotcha. Okay. That makes sense. Okay. Gotta rehydrate. Get a little snack. We're ready to go. Okay. Get all the shit off my shoulders. Let's do the thing. Make sure I'm queued up here. Okay. What's up, everybody, and welcome to another Foundations Play Booster set review, this time in black. We're going to cover all of the colors. This is the third color that we are covering so far. So we have covered white, we've covered blue, now we're on to black, but we'll make our way all the way through to green, red, multicolor, colorless, and the lands. So without further ado, let's go ahead, take a look at these cards. We want to keep in mind that I am approaching this from a new competitive player standpoint. We're looking at this and rating cards based off of draftability, I guess, is what we're going to go with, because all of the play booster cards are the ones that you're going to use in draft. So you're going to use them for actual draft, and then you'll use them for your sealed events as well. So this is the first set that I want to go through, and we might go through the rest of the Foundation standard legal cards as well, because the special guests and the jumpstart cards are not standard legal. So there is a whole bunch of cards that won't be standard legal in this set as well. But all these ones will be, and we're going to start with the set that matters most about drafting in limited formats. So these are all going to be organized in CMC ascending order, as well as rarity ascending order. So we're going to start with the 1 CMC uncommons and then move up from there. So stay tuned, because the cards are only going to get better. And then a brief overview of how we rate these cards. My rating system is a little bit different than a lot of folks, because, well, 1, I'm not as experienced, but 2, I kind of rate them based on CMC to power and toughness. So like a 2-2 for 2 is a C. And then if it's better than that, then it goes higher than that. If it's worse than that, it goes lower than that. And there's makeup mechanics in my system. So if it's a 1-1 for 2, but then has vigilance and lifelink, that might put it up to it'll go down to a C minus because it's a 1-1 for 2, but then it would go up to a C or a C plus because of keywords. So that's kind of how I'm rating them. Also, if one's like clearly a bomb in a set, then like they might get a higher rating too. But that's how I'm approaching the rating system. So without, again, further ado, let's go ahead and jump into this. First up, we have Stab. It's a 1 black instant. Target creature gets a -2/-2 until end of turn. Nice, cheap removal. I think some folks were saying rest in peace Disfigure, but you will definitely see this in constructed. But this will for draft, I would definitely rate it like a B- to a B. Nice, cheap removal for you as well. It could be removal. It could also be just lower something strength and toughness, so that after a blocker has been declared, well, actually with the new blocking rules, I don't know if that'll work, but all that to say, it can reduce something's power and toughness. So if they do try to block, then it can bring them within killing range of one of your creatures, or they'll choose not to block it because it's can't block it without living. So we'll put it in that solid B territory. Next up is Infestation Sage. 1 black creature, elf folk warlock. It's a 1-1. When this creature dies, create a 1/1 black green insect creature token with flying. So it's essentially a 2/2 with flying. But it's also an elf. So there's some really interesting elf synergies. We haven't gotten to green yet, but I know that there's a lot of elf synergies over in green. So this could potentially see like a green-black synergy going on here. So I would definitely say it's an easily draftable card, probably in that B- territory as well. So I would prefer that extra 1/1 toughness came out at the same time as it did, but you're essentially getting a 2-for-1. And then the one that you get back is a little bit better because it has flying. So we'll definitely put it in that B- territory. Eaten Alive. It's a 1 black sorcery. As an additional cost to cast this spell, sacrifice a creature or pay 3 colorless 1 black, exile target creature or planeswalker. It's a little expensive. Like if you have some fodder to get rid of, then fine, get rid of it, and then it becomes a pretty cheap removal. Otherwise, we're looking at a 5 CMC removal, and that's pretty steep. But it does exile target creature or planeswalker. If you're hurting for removal, I would definitely snag it in drafting. Would it be one of my first picks? Meh, it depends. If I'm doing like a white black, I mean, you're not really ever doing like a white black go wide, but maybe you have some cheap tokens in like a black red sack deck or something like that. This could make sense there. So we'll put it at like a C plus C territory. Sanguine Siphoner. It's a 1 colorless, 1 black creature, vampire, warlock. It's a 1/3. Whenever this creature attacks, each opponent loses 1 life, and you gain 1 life. So there is some really interesting infinite loops that can occur if you gain life or opponent loses life. So this could definitely work with that synergy. I do believe the combo is in black. It's like a 2-card infinite. But the art's on this pretty cool. It kind of reminds me of the last Airbender when they were doing like blood bending. That's kind of what it reminds me of. But it is a vampire, so if you have any vampire synergies, it could work there. So a 1/3 for 2, I would say just by itself is a solid C. Plus you get this extra little ability. I'd put it in that C plus territory. If you get into a really interesting life gain, like a white black synergy deck, this could be rated higher at like a B. But yeah, we're kind of in that C plus B minus territory. Pilfers reprint for sure. That one has that what's the Little Bones? What's his name? Yeah, Tiny Bones. Is a 1 colorless, 1 black sorcery. Target opponent reveals their hand. You choose a non-land card from it. That player discards that card. Nice little like hand removal. Nothing crazy. We'll say like a C plus B minus territory. Macabre Waltz is a 1 colorless, 1 black sorcery. Return up to 2 target creature cards from your graveyard to your hand, then discard a card. So graveyard recursion deck. This could work well in. This image is quite disturbing the longer you look at it. It's clearly Liliana, but I don't know why she's taking so much joy with dancing with a zombie, but it's creeping me out. Solid card though. Discard a card to return 2 cards to your hand from your graveyard. Definitely in that B territory for me. Burglar Rat. I know this is a reprint. 1 colorless, 1 black creature rat. 1/1. When this creature enters, each opponent discards a card. Again, nice little discard card. It gets a little bit of advantage. C plus. Fake Your Own Death is 1 colorless, 1 black instant. Until end of turn, target creature gets +2/+0 and gains. When this creature dies, return it to the battlefield, tapped under its owner's control, and you create a treasure token. So nice little combat trick. Flash this in. Give one of your creatures the ability to kill something else, or if you know it's going to die anyways, flash this on. It comes back, and now you get a treasure token. So I would say really solid B minus B territory as a combat trick. If you don't really have space for a combat trick in your build, then you could always afford to drop a combat trick. Picture on this is really messed up too. It's really gross. Hungry Ghoul is a 1 colorless, 1 black creature zombie 2/2. Pay 1, sacrifice another creature, put a 1/1 counter on this. This could get really nuts in sort of like a token deck where you have a bunch of stuff to sacrifice to this. It could get nice and big, or a way to like continuously bring creatures back. So some cards have like, they die and then they go in the graveyard, and you can then pay something and bring them out. So you could definitely see play out of this in constructed. But then in draft, I would say it's a nice solid card. C plus, B minus territory. Marauding Blight Priest, 2 colorless, 1 black. It's a creature vampire cleric. Whenever you gain life, each opponent loses life. So this is one of the ones that will go infinite. So marauding, where's that vampire? Whenever this creature attacks, opponent loses 1 life, you gain a life. Okay. But then there's another one that was like, when you gain a life, each opponent loses a life, and then when an opponent loses a life, you gain a life, and so that will go infinite. So this is one of the go infinite cards. So synergistically, this is an A plus, right? If you get that synergy, you instant win the game. But you're not going to get a common. You're not going to be able to consistently get that combo. So we really got to look at this for face value. 3 mana, 3/2. Whenever you gain life, each opponent loses a life. So it's got a little bit of extra mana. So by itself, it's like a C plus territory, maybe a C territory by itself. Gutless Plunderer is a 2 colorless, 1 black creature skeleton pirate, and is a 2/2. It has Death Touch, which is really nice, kind of makes up for the cost there. It also has Raid. When this creature enters, if you attack this turn, look at the top 3 cards of your library. You may put one of those cards back on top of your library and put the rest into your graveyard. So Threshold is a thing in this set. We saw it back in Bloomburrow. We'll see it here as well, where if you have 7 or more cards, you get an effect. So this can help you with Threshold, which is a common, maybe not common, but we're seeing it over in the blue color. So if you go blue-black and you need more ways to get cards into the graveyard for Threshold, this could definitely help. Death Touch is always nice as well. So I would give this like a C+. And then if you're really in need of the raid mechanic to get cards into your graveyard, then this could go as high as like a B- synergistically. Soul Shackled Zombie is a 3 colorless, 1 black creature zombie 4/2. When this creature enters, exile up to 2 target cards from a single graveyard. If at least 1 card was exiled this way, each opponent loses 2 life and you gain 2 life. But yeah, it's a way to trigger the life gain or life loss. So if you're in a life gain deck, this could, like a life gain, life loss deck kind of synergy you could do with white and black. This could be beneficial. So 4/2, which is a really weird stat line. Like it doesn't have like a flash, so you're not like flashing it in to try to kill something above its weight class. It's just kind of sitting there and can die pretty quickly. And it's kind of expensive. So I would put it at like the C- territory. Baked into a Pie is a 2 colorless, 2 black, destroy target creature, create a food token. It's really solid. We'll go with like BB+. Like it. My secret ingredient? Well, I can't tell you that. But here's a hint. It's not love. Crypt Feaster. 3 colorless, 1 black. Creature, zombie, 3/4. Has menace. 3/4 with menace ain't bad. Whenever this creature attacks, if there are 7 or more, so it has the threshold mechanic. So this is, again, pairing well with blue. If you have threshold, it's really a 5/4 with menace, which is really good. I would actually rate this like a B-, B territory if you have threshold. Vampire Soul Caller. All right, we got another vampire. It's a 4 colorless, 1 black creature, vampire warlock, has flying, and is a 3/2. This creature can't block. When this creature enters, return target creature card from a graveyard to it. So you do get some graveyard recursion for the 5 CMC cost. But the 3/2 stat line is always tough. Like it just gets taken out. Well, it can't block, but something else can block it, and so it gets taken out pretty easily. So I would rate this pretty lowly, like a D+, C- territory. Diregraph Ghoul. Look at this art. That's crazy. So, okay. I thought they were like ran through and then had this mark in their shoulder. But what this actually is portraying is they've been like cleaved into. So this sword has been like cleaved into them. That's great. This creature enters tapped. We've finished the commons, and now we're moving into the uncommons. So Diregraph Ghoul, 1 black, is our first uncommon. It's a creature zombie. This creature enters tapped. It's a 2/2. It's a solid body. I hate that it comes in tapped, but it's a zombie, so if you have any zombie synergies, but it's a 2/2 for 1. So C+, B- territory. Exsanguinate. Pay X and 1 or 2 black. It's a sorcery. Each opponent loses X life. You gain life equal to life lost. This way, this is a really fun commander card. I would say it's hard to be anything good in draft or standard. C minus D plus territory. Reassembling skeleton. Here we go. This is what we mean. Like if you have good sack targets, they can come back. Is one black or one colorless, one black, 1/1, and then you can pay the same. Return this card from your graveyard to the battlefield tapped. So if you need something to just keep sacking, so if you do it with that ghoul, for instance, that get 1/1 every time you sacrifice a creature, like that's awesome, right? So I like this one. Synergizes really well. I'd say it's a solid B. Vampire Gourmand is a 1 colorless, 1 black, and it's a creature vampire. So we got another vampire. It's a 2/2 vampire for 2. Whenever this creature attacks, you may sacrifice another creature. If you do, draw a card. This creature can't be blocked this turn. Really nice with the card right before it, right? Just keep doing that. Keep doing that. Attack every turn. Sacrifice it. Can't be blocked, and you draw a card. So I would say nice, solid. B minus. If you can get some cool synergies like the reassembling skeleton, then this could be like a B or a B plus for sure. Vengeful Blood Witch is a 1 colorless, 1 black creature, vampire, warlock, 1/1. Whenever this creature or another creature you control dies, target opponent loses 1 life, and you gain 1 life. Again, this might work synergistically really well in like life gain, life loss deck. If you like, I think you could do some really interesting things in constructed with this. Like create this crazy, like really build around that combo of infinite, the infinite that kills you right away. We haven't got to the second part of that piece yet, but on its own in draft, I would say this is tough. This is tough. It's going to be like a C minus, D plus territory. Vampire Nighthawk is a 1 colorless, 2 black creature vampire shaman for 2/3. It's flying and death touch, and like look at those stat lines. Like I'm probably gonna put that in my commander deck, my Dominaria, my T-Rex deck. Every time you sack a creature, or when you play it, discard a bunch of cards, and then it gets all of its keywords. So lots of keywords here for 3. I like it. It would put it in the C plus. B minus territory for me. Infernal Vessel is 2 colorless, 1 black creature, human, maybe even high as a B. Infernal Vessel is a 2 colorless, 1 black creature, human, cleric. It's a 2/1. When this creature dies, if it wasn't a demon, return it to the battlefield under its owner control with 2 1/1 counters on it. It's a demon in addition to its other types. Boom. If you're in a sacrifice deck, this is one of your sacrifice fodders, and then it comes back, and now it's a 4/3 for 3. It's really solid. I'd put that in the B minus B territory. Next up is Seeker's Folly. Is a 2 colorless, 1 black sorcery. Choose 1. Target opponent discards 2 cards. Creatures your opponent's control get -1 until end of turn. You can really mess with them. I mean, I've had some sealed where I just took like every card that made somebody discard cards, and they're just completely dismantled any game plan that they had. And so you could do something fun like that. On its own, I think it's a little rough. It's gonna be probably a C. Like it's worth its cost. Midnight Snack is a 2 colorless, 1 black enchantment, and it has raid. So at the beginning of your end step, if you attack this turn, create a food token when you play this. So if you attack, so play this in your second main, you get a food token, and then you can pay 2 colorless, 1 black, sacrifice this enchantment. Target opponent loses X life, where X is the amount of life you gained this turn. So again, life gain, life loss deck. There is a lot of life gain, life loss synergies, especially between black and white. If synergistically, this is definitely a piece you want, right? That would put it up there in the B plus territory. On its own, it's like a C minus, but C minus. But yeah, if you're building towards something specifically, you could see this higher in the ratings for sure. Next up is Hero's Downfall. 1 colorless, 2 black, is destroy target creature or planeswalker. You know, it's murder all over again, which is solid. It's just a solid removal, C plus, B minus. Like, if you need removal, take it. Stromkirk, Blood Thief, 2 colorless, 1 black. Creature, Vampire, Rogue. It's a 2/2. At the beginning of your end step, if an opponent lost life this turn, put a 1/1 counter. Again, so many like life gain, life loss synergies. Like synergistically, this is a good card. If you're in a life gain, life loss deck, like a B plus. If you're on your own, on its own, it's like a C minus. Like you might gain some life. Like if you accidentally stumble into lost life, like, well, I guess if you attack, it's probably like a CC plus on its own. If you got like the life loss, life gain deck, B plus. Revenge of the Rats is 2 colorless, 2 black sorcery. Create a tapped 1/1 black rat creature token for each creature card in your graveyard, and it has flashback. I mean, this could be broken. It could also be nothing. So, I don't know. I'm in a weird place for that. I'm just giving it a C. It's getting a C. Zombify. 3 colorless, 1 black sorcery. Return target creature from your graveyard to the battlefield. That's really nice. Like, it goes right to the battlefield. I think that's really useful in like a graveyard recursion deck. Think like a white-black deck. Really any deck that something might take advantage of. Like I want to cheat a big card onto the battlefield, then that might be a good fit for it as well. Like there was a one. Let's see if I can find it real quick. Like this. Like if you can cheat that onto the battlefield, that'd be nuts. Next up, Billowing Shriek Mass. 3 colorless, 1 black. Creature spirit. It's a 2/3. Has flying. When this creature enters, mill 3 cards. And then Threshold. Creatures get +2/+1 as long as there are 7 or more. So like if you have Threshold, this could be a 4/4 for 4 with flying. And it helps you get to Threshold. So, I mean, it's solid. C+, B- territory for sure. Well, what's up, Patel? I bought 4 collector boxes. What commons can I offload onto you? Also made it to gold tier 4. That's awesome. Zombify is cool. You could bring on some of the big creatures to cheat it in. Yeah, Progenitus. Yeah, like there's some big stuff that you could bring in for sure. So this card on its own, I would definitely rate it in the. If you have Threshold, it's a 4/4 for 4 with flying. It's like a B- by like if you have Threshold. So like on its own, it's like a C for draft. If you're trying to build something synergistically, like it could go crazier. I think I'll play black cards from Dustmourn. Seems much stronger there. Yeah, the black cards in Dustmourn are pretty interesting. Black cards here seem to have a lot of like life loss, life gain. The black do have the infinite combo though. We haven't gotten to the infinite combo piece yet. We saw one of the pieces. So Tragic Banshee is a 4 colorless, 1 black creature spirit, 5/3 for 5. So a little rough there, but it has Morbid. When this creature enters, target creature and opponent control gets -1, -1 until end of turn. If a creature died this turn, that creature gets -13, -13 instead. That's insane. It's huge removal. Like sacrifice. So if you're in like a sacrifice deck of some sort, sacrifice a card or something died, then play this in the second main after combat, and then you can just like take out anything or pre-main or pre-combat main. Sack one of your things and then just take out whatever they have by playing this. Like this card is actually, I think, secretly good. I'm gonna go with like a B, potentially B+, if you can reliably get the sacrifice triggers off. Arbiter of Woe is a 4 colorless, 2 black creature demon, 5/4. So it's a 6 CMC 5/4. All right, a little sad on the stats already, but let's read further. As an additional cost to cast this spell, sacrifice a creature. All right, now we have some ways to sacrifice some creatures. It has flying. When this creature enters, each opponent discards a card and loses 2 life. You draw a card and gain 2 life. I think this would be a great commander card, if I'm being honest with you. It's just a little too expensive for draft, so I'm not super high on this card, like a C minus, at best. C minus at best. Thoughts on Pilfer Duress, 1 drop versus 2. Well, Pilfer can only do. Let's chat about that one in a second. We're into the rares, but hold that thought. We'll talk about that one in a second. Azul Assure Lichlord. As ward, pay 2 life. It's a 1 black, 1 colorless, 2/2. And then you may cast target zombie creature card from your graveyard this turn. That's really awesome. So I think this is a reprint. This is definitely going to work really well in like zombie decks. I think we're going to see some fun zombie decks come into standard because of this. Would you draft it? Definitely in a zombie deck. This is going to be really nice, like a BB plus, even higher maybe. On its own, like if you didn't have any zombies to cast out of your graveyard, like it's still a 2/2 for 2 with ward. So I would put it in that B minus territory on its own. Tiny Bones. Bauble Burglar is a 1 colorless, 1 black legendary creature skeleton rogue. There's a 1/3, and whenever an opponent discards a card, exile it from their graveyard with a stash counter on it. During your turn, you may play cards you don't own with stash counters on them from exile, and mana of any type can be spent to cast those spells. And then you could pay 3 colorless, 1 black, tap. Each opponent discards a card, activate only as a sorcery. So this is interesting. There is a lot of discard effects in black, and then you can also trigger this effect on its own through its ability, and then you're stealing cards out of their hand. So like if you can get a cool little discard, like this is a build around B plus on its own, it's probably like a B minus C plus territory. But if you can build around, and you can definitely do some really interesting things. Abyssal Harvester is a 1 colorless, 2 black creature demon warlock for 3/2. Exile target creature from a graveyard that was put there this turn. Create a token that's a copy of it, except it's a nightmare in addition to its other types. Then exile all other nightmare tokens you control. Interesting. So you can have like 1 card out at a time. I think this is really powerful because you can pull something huge out of the graveyard, bring it onto the field as a token version of itself. And then, you know, if it dies, you could just bring it back. You could just keep bringing it back. But you can only have 1 nightmare out at a time. So I would say this is really powerful. B plus, A minus territory for sure. It's just kind of weak, so it can be taken out with really anything. Phyrexian Arena is 1 colorless, 2 black. It's an enchantment. At the beginning of your upkeep, you draw a card and you lose a life. That's really nice. Really good card gain. The loss of life to pay for that is, I think, fine. Especially if you're in like a life gain deck. I would definitely put that in like the BB plus territory. 9 lives familiar. We got another cat here. Creature cat 1/1. This creature enters with 8 revival counters on it. So this is kind of like the what was that? The familiar. What was it? The stove familiar. The cauldron familiar. Except for this one has a limit on it. It can only be done 8 times. So when this creature dies, if it had a revival counter on it, return it to the battlefield with 1 fewer revival counters on it at the beginning of your next end step. So nice fodder. This is sacrifice fodder as well. It has a counter. I think this is a well-balanced card. We'll put it in that C plus, B minus territory. Blasphemous Edict. This thing's crazy. 3 colorless, 2 black. You may pay black rather than pay this spell's mana cost if there are 13 or more creatures on the battlefield. Each player sacrifices 13 creatures of their choice. This is an insane commander card. Is it going to see a lot of value in draft? No. Like in draft, this is like a C minus. In commander, this is like an A. like definitely a strong card in commander. High Society Hunters. 3 colorless, 2 black, 5/3 flying. When this creature attacks, you may sacrifice another creature. If you do, put a 1/1 counter on it. We've run into a couple cool like sack targets that can come right back. Whenever another non-token creature dies, draw a card. So this is really solid if you have a build around like sacrifice deck. I would say it's a BB plus build around on its own. Maybe like a C plus to B minus. Painful Quandary is a 3 colorless, 2 black enchantment. Whenever an opponent casts a spell, that player loses 5 life unless they this is solid. I mean, this is really fun in Commander. In Draft, I feel like you could probably use the slot for something else. But it's not bad. C plus, B minus in Draft. Rune Scarred Demon, 5 colorless, 2 black. It's flying, 6/6. When this creature enters, search your library for a card, put it on the battle into your hand, and then shuffle. I'd say it's pretty solid. I get to go find any card, put it into my hand. So we'd give it a solid B. And here is the card that can go infinite. Bloodthirsty Conqueror, our first mythic. I think it's our first mythic. 3 colorless, 2 black, creature, vampire knight, flying, death touch. Whenever an opponent loses life, you gain that much life. And so you get the other card that is, whenever you gain life, they lose life. And then this is, they lose life, they gain life. And so it just goes infinite. So you have a 2-card infinite with Bloodthirsty Conqueror. If you get this, sure, go for it. Go for it. It'll be fun. It's a 2-card infinite. By itself, it's a 5 mana, 5/5 flying death touch. Like, it's still really solid, like B by itself. If you have a way to reliably like get this out and do the whole make them lose life and then you gain life infinite combo, you know, it's an A infinity, right? It's cool if you can make it happen. But by itself, it's definitely still a B plus card. That's a dope card, the Painful Quandary. Yeah, it's interesting. Definitely in Commander. I'd love it in Commander. Liliana, Dreadhorde General, is a 4 colorless, 2 black, legendary planeswalker. Liliana, and it comes in with 6 loyalty, and whenever a creature you control dies, draw a card. You can +1 it, create a 2/2 black zombie creature token. Again, cannon fodder. Sacrifice some stuff. Each opponent sacrifices 2 creatures of their choice. And then each opponent chooses, so that's for -4. -9 is each opponent chooses a permanent they control of each permanent type and then sacrifice the rest. So again, if you play that goofy little Innkeeper's Talent deck, and this comes in with double counters, you can immediately -9 it. And then each opponent would do, like, grab 1 land, 1 artifact, 1 enchantment, and 1 creature, and then sacrifice everything else. So also fun in Commander. Definitely going to be fun in Draft. This is an A plus for sure. Yeah, you prefer the Liliana and Dustmorn. Rise of the Dark Realms is a 7 colorless, 2 black sorcery. Put all creature cards. So again, really fun Commander card. I actually have this in one of my Commander decks, and it was fun. So I was playing it in my T-Rex Domination deck. So I always forget the name of the T-Rex. But when you play the T-Rex, you sacrifice or you discard a bunch of cards, and all the keywords that from those cards go on to the T-Rex. And so you're discarding a bunch of cards every time into your graveyard. And then I played this, and I bring out a handful or more of those. Plus, it's put all creatures from all graveyards onto the battlefield under your control. So you also get all of your opponent's creatures as well. So this card is really insane in Commander. In Draft, it's not really feasible, but if you get it, grab it, sure. You're going to get a handful of cards at best, or maybe a few more with this. It's just really expensive at 9 CMC. It's difficult for sure. To cast and really get a lot of advantage out of it, but solid card for Commander for sure. It's hard to rate. Like, if you can cast it, it's definitely a high powered card. It's just so expensive in Draft that I think it bumps it down to like a C plus, C minus territory. Awesome. So that brings us to the end of Black. If you made it this far, you might as well like, subscribe, leave a comment below. All of it is appreciated, and that's the best way you can support any content creator you enjoy. And follow along. We are going through all of the colors. We've done white, we've done blue, we've done black now. We still got green and red to go, and colorless and multicolor, as well as the lands. And then depending on how we feel, we might also go tackle the non-play booster cards as well. But at the very least, we're going to cover all the cards in the play booster sets, which are going to be used for your limited formats, sealed and draft. So until next time, we'll catch you all at the table. Cool. All right. So Patel, let's take a look at the cards you were talking about. Pilfer versus Pilfer versus what was the other one? Duress? Okay. So we got Pilfer. It's going to be in the new set. And then target opponent reveals their hand. You choose a non-land card from it. That player discards that card. You choose a non-creature, non-land card. That player discards. So the downside of Duress is really the non-creature, right? So non-creature, non-land just means enchantments, artifacts, instants, and sorceries, right? Versus Pilfer can be any non-land card. So for one extra CMC, you get access to 4 other card types. So you get access to the sorcery, to the artifact, to the instant, and to the enchantment, as well as planeswalkers. Well, I guess Duress also targets planeswalkers. So you get 4 extra. I mean, the nice part about Duress is it's turn 1. Like, a turn 1 Duress is always just so... It gets you right in the feels, you know? It just beats you up. Especially if you've already, like, mulligan down to 5, or mulligan... Even if you mulligan to 6, and you're on the play, and then your opponent turn 1 Duresses you... And so if you're on the play, you had 6 cards in hand. Assume you played a land. Now you're down to 5 cards in hand. And then you maybe had a 1-drop because you mulliganed down to 5, right? Hopefully or to 6. So hopefully you got something a little bit better. So now you played 2 cards. So you have 4 cards in hand, and then I turn 1 Duress you. Now you're down to 3 cards in hand to my 5 cards in hand. Or no, I'm on the draw. So I would be at 6 cards in hand. So it is ultimately like soul crushing to get hit with a turn 1 Duress. Gets me to unpack opponent strategies, especially. Yeah, like then you understand what they capped. Like turn 1 Duress is really, really nice. Pilfer is more powerful, obviously, but you gotta wait till turn 2. So like a turn 2 Pilfer is not bad, especially if you're on the play. It would be really funny. It's a turn 1 Duress and then a turn 2 Pilfer. Really, I'm really messing you up then. But as far as my opinions on it, I mean, I think they both have their place. I think they're both good. I'm a big fan of Duress. Like anytime I get any chance I get to play black deck with Duress, I'm happy about it. I mean, I'm gonna feel the same way about Pilfer. It's just a little slower, but it hits more, and that's where it makes up. Running turn 1 Duress, turn 2 Cavern Bat to take anything I couldn't get from turn 1. Yeah, I do that as well in the Dimir mid-range decks that are popular right now. I really like that move. Turn 1 Duress, turn 2 Bat. It feels really good. And this would be essentially the same thing, except it goes into the graveyard right away. So it's a more powerful Bat in some ways. I mean, the Bat is a creature on the board, but it's a 1/1. It can just be cut down so easily. It can just be removed so easily. This, like, it can't be removed. Like, you already removed the card. So It plays a similar slot, except for the bat is a body on the board. Um, yeah, I mean, I feel good about it. I like that it's there. I just don't know if I have a good answer for, like, is it better or not. I think it's good. Cool. So we have more work to do. We've done black. We are on to red. And we are going to what we're going to do is we're going to run an ad. So if you're on Twitch, sorry, got to run an ad. That way we can do 3 minutes or an hour with no ads. So we're going to do a 180-second ad. It'll give us an hour with no ads. And then we'll come back and we're going to do red. We still got green to do. And then colorless and multicolor, and then the lands. How many colorless are there? Not a lot. So we'll do colorless and lands together. Or we can just make them all separate videos. We'll do the colorless and then we'll do the land. All right, so on to red. So yeah, we'll be right back. We're gonna do that 3-minute ad. Yeah, goblins are looking good in this set too. And I'll be right back. All right, I'm back. So, before I get started, I never understood how this card was a goblin. It's clearly a monkey. Like, look at its feet. Those are monkey feet. Like, it's got an opposable thumb on its foot. Like, it's clearly a monkey. So I literally talk for a living. Like, it's my day job. As well as I like stream for 3, 4, sometimes 5, sometimes 1 hour every morning before I go to work. But for some reason, every time I do a set review, absolutely destroys my voice. So, tell me that. Tell me why that is. So, okay, let's kick this off. We are going to do what we always do. We're going to record a video. I got to find my thing here. I got to cough again. All right, I think I'm back. Okay. Get the burps out of the way. Get some water. I went and pounded a protein bar. Now it's making me all phlegmy. Whew. Got a bunch of land cards over here. So I got the start to my standard deck. We're going with the old. We're gonna start with the red aggro deck. I don't know if that's where we're gonna end. The Golgari deck seems really good. The Dimir deck seems really good. I don't actually know if Dimir. Well, we do know. Statistically, Dimir Demons, which is what Javier played and won the World Championships with, is like a 40% win rate against the playfield. However, he did have a solid run, right? Like if you can avoid red aggro. So I have this thing. I was in a snowboarding accident in college. So there was this like 25-foot or 20-foot tabletop. Let's call it 20 foot for the sake of the story. It was a 20-foot tabletop. So what a tabletop is it's got like a ramp on one side, and then it's a flat top, and then a down ramp on the other side. And the top part is the 20 feet or whatever for the tabletop. And so I jumped it thinking I was going to do a trick. I thought I was going to do like a backflip because I could do a backflip on my snowboard at the time. It wasn't very impressive. I would just like go over a little jump, and then I was fast enough rotating in the air that I could do a little backflip. So I was like, oh, I'm going to do a backflip on the big one. So I do the big one, and I decide not to do a backflip. And so I'm just going to jump it and then like land on the other side. And I go like 19 and a half of the 20 feet. I just didn't have quite enough speed when I hit the jump because I brake checked a couple too many times. I was scared. I was definitely scared. And because of that, I like land on my butt, and I like put both of my hands down, and I had like locked elbows or straight arms or locked elbows or whatever. And when I landed, it dislocated both of my collarbones, because your collarbones are connected to your sternum or like your chest plate right here with cartilage. And so mine went like popped out and then popped back in. And I was like in so much pain, so exasperated, like like knocked the wind out of me, like couldn't breathe, like I was like I couldn't move my arms, and I was like, how am I gonna get my snowboard off? I'm like rolling around on the ground. I'm like, like if you ever got the wind knocked out of you really bad, like you know the sounds I was making, just like it was bad. And so like everything hurt, and I was like, I gotta get to the ER. So I managed to like roll around, like get back on my board, like clip a foot off, and like push. And I don't even like take my snowboard boots off. I just like managed to get myself and my stuff in the car, and I drive to the emergency room, which is like 10-15 minutes away, and like go through all the x-rays, go through everything. They're like, everything looks fine, and it's very possible that what you did was they just like dislocated and then they relocated. And ever since then, I have a hitch in this collarbone. Like if I move my arm like a weird way, every now and then this will like come out just a little bit, and then you go, and then like my arm will be stuck. I'm like, huh, ow, 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 and then I have to like slowly like bring the arm in, like bring this in sideways, like bring the shoulder down, and then it just finally kind of like settles in. It doesn't like pop back in or anything. It just kind of like settles in. So every now and then, if I move my arm funny, like the collarbone will hate me. So that's my fun little collarbone story. And so if you ever see me just like move an arm, all of a sudden I go, ow, ow, and I just bring it in, and just like slowly hug myself. That's kind of what's going on. It's usually that collarbone injury. All right, we're feeling better. Voice is feeling good. Let's go ahead and kick her off. We're gonna do red. If you're hanging out in the live stream, one, I appreciate you. Thank you. Consider following if you're on Twitter or on Twitch, and subscribing, liking, commenting if you're on YouTube. All of it is much, much appreciated. We are doing a full set review today of foundations. We're starting with the Play Boosters, and we're going to go through all the colors of the Play Boosters. And depending on how we're feeling and what time it is, we might also try to do the rest of the set. We will probably not do the Jumpstart or the special guests because they're not legal and standard. So I don't care about it all that much, if I'm being honest with you. But the rest of the cards are legal and standard. Collarbone half pumps. Yeah, I mean, half pump in itself was a funny name. Like that was, it came from doing like a half of a fist pump because I was playing disc golf and I had a really sweet throw. And the way the disc was going, it was going to go like perfectly into the basket. Like it was hole-in-one territory. And so I'm getting excited. I'm like, yeah, I'm like ready to do a fist pump. And then, because it would have been like it would have either been my first or like my second hole in one ever. I think when I stopped playing disc golf, I ended up having like 3 or 4 hole in ones by the end of it. But it was early enough in my disc golf career. But I was like, yeah. And then right before the basket, there was a branch that was hanging from a tree, and then the disc like hits the branch and like veers away from the basket. And so I was like mid fist pump, just oh, what was that? You know? And so my buddies were just dying laughing because I was so excited. I was so ready to fist pump. And they're like, what was that? A half pump? And we had a big chuckle about it. And so I just kept half pump as my gamer tag ever since then. I should probably like record that story sometime. Send that off. All right, let's do the thing. We got a lot of work here to do. Let's go ahead. Make sure everything's plugged in. I somehow unplugged my mic one time. I was wondering why nothing was working. What's up, everybody, and welcome to another Foundations Play Booster set review. We are going to cover all of the colors in the Play Booster set because Foundations is a big, complex thing. We have Play Boosters, we have Jumpstart, we have special guests, and only some of those are standard legal. So we do have all of the Play Boosters, which are standard legal, as well as non-Play Booster set cards, which are also standard legal. And those are important because those are going to be legal for the next 5 years. But we're covering every single one of the colors. So far, we have covered white, we've covered blue, we covered black. We are now on to red, and we're going to go in ascending order of both the CMC as well as rarity. So we're going to go through the commons, the uncommons, the rares, and the mythics. We're going to talk about how I rate them as a draft card or as a limited card. And we might throw in some other ranks too, like, hey, is it synergistically a little bit better of a rank? Is it going to be seen in standard? And then we're going to want to keep in mind throughout this whole process that this is a new competitive player's perspective. So sometimes this is a first look for me. Something might be a reprint, and I didn't recognize it because I didn't really start playing Magic the Gathering seriously until this past summer. I've been playing on and off since the 90s, but I've never played competitively. But we're doing okay. We already got a double invite for the regional championships in February and March of 2025. So I'd say we're getting the hang of it a little bit. But draft is definitely one of my weakest skill sets. So come hang out with me as we review the set, not only to get better, but to be entertained, hopefully, along the way. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into the first card of the red color of mountains, of the go fast, burn hard deck color. I don't know where I was going with that one. But we'll start with Fanatical Firebrand. Is a 1 red creature goblin pirate 1/1. It has haste, and you can sacrifice this creature. It deals 1 damage to any target. I always think this one is hilarious because I have no idea how it's a pirate because it's clearly a monkey. Like, look at it. It even has the opposable thumb on the foot. It's got a monkey's tail. Like, it's a monkey. I don't know how it's a goblin. I really don't. Also, huge shout out to Saber Knights. Thank you for the follow. Appreciate you hanging out. Have I done any of the pre-releases yet? I have not. I've unfortunately had a really busy weekend. I had to clean out and sanitize my reverse osmosis system yesterday, as well as replace the wax ring and all that fun stuff that with my toilet yesterday. So I had to do that. And then today I needed to get my set review done. So we're doing that. Maybe we'll find some time tomorrow night or Tuesday to do a pre-release. I would like to try to make it to one, but I have yet to make it to one. You did it last night? That's awesome. How'd you do? And while you tell me that, we're going to move on to the next card here, and we're going to rate this one. Fanatical Firebrand for a 1/1 with haste. We'll give this a solid B. I really like it. You can also sacrifice it, deal 1 damage to something so you can ping something out, or even cause some loss of life, which could synergize really well with black. So overall, I would say this is a solid B draftable card. Next up is going to be one of my favorite cards, is Burst Lightning. It's 1 red. It's an instant. It has a kicker of 4, but Burst Lightning does 2 damage to any target. If the spell was kicked, it deals 4 damage instead. Why is it one of my favorite cards? Because this, combined with one other one, is going to make burn legal again. Or viable. Potentially viable. One of my first decks I ever put together was a burn deck that we would play around the cafeteria table in high school. Everybody hated me for it, but every card in my deck did direct damage to your health, and it was my favorite deck to play. And this was back in the day when I didn't have an LGS. I went to the local gas station to buy magic packs and hoped I got burn cards to put into my deck. So I'm excited that burn is coming back. I'm going to be building a burn deck, so we'll see how that goes. But Burst Lightning is a big key piece of making that happen. Lost every match in round 1 of 3. I did win and had 1 bye, so an auto win. Very nice. Very nice. Yeah, Bolt Wave, I think, is the other one. Thrill of Possibility. So what are we rating this card? I'm rating this a B+. I'm actually going to be biased and say this is an A, just because it's going to be so strong in standard. Like, it's already going to be in standard competitive RCQ decks. In draft, like, it's solid. One mana, 2 damage, and then 5 manage, 4 damage. Like, you're going to be able to take out some stuff. In all realistic reality, in draft, it's probably like a B+. But I love the card. It's going in my burn deck. Thrill of Possibility. 1 colorless, 1 red. It's an instant. As an additional cost to cast this spell, discard a card, but you get to draw 2 cards. So card cycling is pretty good. You can't hate it. It's going to go well with like a blue red deck, especially if you need more instants and sorceries to cast for those prowess or to get really cheap cards out. So I do like it. We'll put it at a B- for draft. Sure Strike. 1 colorless, 1 red instant. Target creature gets +3 and +3/+0 and gains first strike until end of the turn. Nice little combat trick. You could throw that out there as like a C+, B-. Combat tricks, I think, are nice to have a couple in your deck, but usually you're kind of saving that slot for, at least in my opinion, removal. And this could potentially be removal, but it's mostly a combat trick to try to get something to live. Firebrand Archer. 1 colorless, 1 red is a creature human archer. It's a 2/1. Whenever you cast a non-creature spell, this creature deals 1 damage to each opponent. So this is the cards like this are always super fun in Commander. It would work pretty well in like a red-blue deck when you're trying to cast a bunch of instants and sorceries. There's a lot of synergies with that, and those get cheaper with some of those synergies. So this could be definitely a key piece in your ability to win in that kind of deck, because generally that kind of deck is missing out on its ability to do damage to your opponent. So having something like this, it will allow you to do 2, maybe 3 damage every turn out on the board, but it is really small, so it's really easy to like ping out as well. So something to keep in mind. But on its own, I'd give it like a C+. Courageous Goblin. 1 colorless, 1 red. It's a creature goblin. 2/2. So 2/2 for 2 is already a solid C just by itself. Whenever this creature attacks while you control a creature with power 4 or greater, this creature gets +1/+0 and gains menace until end of turn. That's a fun little thing. Courageous Goblin. I like the art too. Now when you take a look at like what it does, it'll hang behind something big and gets courageous if you're hanging out with something big. So it's a solid C+ with that ability. Axguard Cavalry is a 1 colorless, 1 red creature dwarf berserker. It's a 2/2 for 2. Already solid stats. A target creature gains haste until end of turn. Nice little added ability. We'll give it a C+. Goblin Surprise is a 2 colorless, 1 red instant. Choose 1. Creatures you control get +2/+0 until end of turn. Create 2 1/1 goblin creature tokens. So this could help really well with like a go wide deck with like white red, for instance. You also get the ability to give something +2/+0 till the end of turn. It's a little expensive for like the +2/+0, but the 2/1/1 goblin aspect of it and giving you a choice, I would put this probably around that C+ area as well. Goblin Borders. Again, these are monkeys. They're 100% monkeys. How are these goblins? Like, I don't understand. 2 colorless, 1 red is a creature goblin pirate for 3/2. It also has raid. This creature enters with a 1/1 counter on it if you attack this turn. So that's really nice. It really kind of comes in as a 4/3 if you cast this in your second main after attacking. So I do like it. I would definitely put it C plus B minus territory if you cast it with raid. Crackling Cyclops is a 2 colorless, 1 red creature Cyclops wizard. It's a 0/4, and then whenever you cast a non-creature spell, this creature. So again, this would be great in like a blue-red deck. It gets +3/+0, and now you have a 3/4 on the board to swing. So if you have the right synergy, I would say this is a solid B minus B territory. 3 mana, 0/4 blocker still sitting on the table though is not bad. So if you're not getting the synergy out of it, it's probably a C plus to C territory. Sower of Chaos is a 3 colorless, 1 red creature devil. It's a 4/3, and then you can pay 2 in a red to target creature can't block this turn. That's really good. I really like that one. Because you don't have to tap this, so you get to keep this in attack with it. So I would rate this easy B minus. It could be a little higher, maybe a B. Goblin creatures likely meh until you bring in Krenko Mob Boss in, and then it's like Harlem in the 30s, baby. Yeah, Krenko's great. I have a buddy that plays a Krenko Commander deck, and does some really interesting things with Goblin deck. But yeah, for sure. Spitfire Lagak. 3 colorless, 1 red creature lizard. Has landfall and is a 3/4. Whenever a land you control enters, its creature deals 1 damage to each opponent. So this is my problem with like more expensive landfall. Like, sure, this is turn 4. This is not as bad as some of the other ones. I thought it was like a turn 6 with landfall, but it's just so late in the game. Like, you're already 4 turns in. It is a 3/4, so it has some survivability there. So I would probably give it like a C plus if you really build towards being able to drop a bunch of land or ramp in a way to drop a bunch of land. Might go better in like a red-green deck where you can generate more lands onto the table. Involuntary Employment, okay, is a 3 colorless, 1 red sorcery. Gain control of target creature until end of turn. Untap that creature. It gains haste until end of turn. All right, so that's like what was that red card in Duskmourn where you could steal their card and give it haste? It was a solid card. I would say I can't remember if this is more expensive than that, but I think this is more expensive than that because it's a and you get to create a treasure token though. That is really nice. I'd give this a B minus. It's a way you could steal something big, swing with it, and then you get a token at the end of it, or you could steal it and then sack it, so it could work well for like a red-black deck. So being able to steal an attack with something and then get a bonus off of it, I think is pretty good. It might be a little expensive, but they're trying to make up for that expense by giving you a creature token. So, yeah, B minus to B territory for me. Gorehorn Raider is a 4 colorless, 1 red creature minotaur pirate 4/4. You know what this makes me think of? I would love to make a pirate commander deck. I think that would be fun. But this one has raid. When this creature enters, if you attack this turn, this creature deals 2 damage to any target. So it's really coming in and can be some removal for you. Ping out something small. Or if something took damage and had 2 damage remaining, you could, finish it off with this in your second main. I do like the raid. It gives you some things to think about. So 4/4 for being able to do essentially 6 damage for 5. I'd put it at like the C plus, closer to a B minus territory. Incinerating Blast. 4 colorless, 1 red. Incinerating Blast deals 6 damage to target creature. You may discard a card if you do draw a card. Okay, a little card cycling. 5 mana, 6 damage. I mean, it's removal. If you need removal, it's expensive. So we're going to keep it C+ at best. All right, that finishes off uncommon. Now we're on to our first, we finish off common. Now we're on to our first uncommon, which is Frenzied Goblin. 1 red, creature, goblin, berserker. It's a 1/1. Whenever this creature attacks, you may pay 1 red. If you do, target creature can't block this turn. Pretty solid. I'd give it C+, B-. I like it. Maybe B-. Solid B-. Bolt Wave. Here we go. Here's the other one. Bolt Wave's going in the burn deck, baby. Personally, this is an A infinity. I love it. It's going in my burn deck. I'm doing that one with Bolt Lightning. I think that's what it was called. I got the shirt that says Bolt with like the red mana symbol. Like that's all I'm wearing that. I'm wearing that shirt and I'm running burn, baby. And we're showing up to the tournaments. Anyways, Bolt Wave, 1 red, sorcery. Bolt Wave deals 3 damage to each opponent. In draft, it's not super nice. Like, it's really hard to get slapped together a burn deck in draft. And so I would rate it lower in draft. It's like a C- in draft. In constructed though, this thing burns. This baby burns. Goblin Negotiation. Pay X into red. It's a sorcery. Goblin Negotiation deals X damage to target creature. Create a number of 1/1 red creature tokens equal to the amount of excessive damage dealt to that creature this way. Okay, so it's excessive damage or excess damage. So if it's a 2/2 and you do 4 damage to it, you're gonna get 2 1/1 red tokens, red goblin creature tokens. So it's kind of expensive. You're mostly going to use it, like you might get 1, maybe 2 goblins out of it in draft. Like this would be a really sweet commander card for sure. Throw that in your goblin commander deck and do like 8 damage to a 1/1 on somebody's board, and now you have 7 1/1 goblins. Like you're going to be able to do some crazy stuff. Like outside of that, like this is just going to be removal. I'd say it's a solid removal at like a B-. Abrades. Still in standard. I have used this card. I am familiar with this card. So 1 colorless, 1 red. It's an instant. Get to choose 1, deal 3 damage to a target creature, or destroy a target artifact. Nice little 3 damage. It makes its way into constructed. So it's a solid card. I would take it if you need some removal. Also has that opportunity to take out some artifacts for you. So probably like a C+, B-. Definitely take it for some low cost removal. Slumbering Cerberus is 1 colorless, 1 red creature, dog, 4/2. This creature doesn't untap during your untap step. Okay, at the beginning, it has morbid. At the beginning of each step, if a creature died this turn, untap this. Okay, so interesting. So you can play it, attack with it, and then it doesn't untap unless something has died. But it's a 4/2. So I think it would work well in like a black-red sacrifice deck. Maybe in like a red-white aggro deck where you expect like little guys to die often. So synergistically, this could be a solid B. I think on its own, it's like a C+. Heartfire Emulator. We got 1 colorless, 1 red creature, human wizard. It's a 2/2 for 2, so solid, and it's got prowess. All right. Pay 1, sacrifice this creature. It deals damage equal to its power to target creature or planeswalker. This could potentially see some play in constructed, especially the red aggro decks, because you cast a few spells, it gets prowess. You cast those spells on this card. So say you cast monstrous rage, you cast snakeskin veil, you cast something else, and all of a sudden this thing is like a 7/7, 8/8 with trample. You swing in, you do some damage, and then you keep 1 mana up, sacrifice it, and then you do 8 more damage. Oh wait, this is a target creature or planeswalker. Gotta finish reading the sentence there. You're not gonna see it in the aggro decks, if that's the case. But on its own, 2/2 for 2 with prowess. Yeah, C plus, maybe B minus if you can get it to purr a little bit. Bulk Up is a 1 colorless, 1 red instant, double target creature's power until end of turn, and also has flashback for 6. I mean, you get to essentially play it twice if you get to late game. So I like the pay it once, double target creature's power until end of turn. So since it's an instant, you can declare attacker, and if they choose not to block, then you go ahead and play this guy. So I definitely say C plus B minus territory. Pretty cool little combat trick. Brazen Scourge, 1 colorless, 2 red, has haste, and is a 3/3. I like it. B minus. Fiery Annihilation, 2 colorless, 1 red, instant. Fiery Annihilation deals 5 damage to target creature. Exile up to 1 target equipment attached to that creature. If that creature would die this turn, exile it instead. Seems very specific to equipment hate. But 3 mana for 5 damage is a really solid removal. I would definitely give this like a B in draft. Bulk Up Progenitus after cheating it onto the battlefield. Yeah, that'd be insane. Fire Spitter Whelp is 2 colorless, 1 red. It's a creature dragon 2/2. Has flying, so it's a 2/2 flyer for 3. All right, like a CC minus. Well, let's keep reading. Whenever you cast a non-creature or dragon spell, creature deals 1 damage to each opponent. So again, we saw another one. We saw another lizard that did something anytime you cast a non-creature spell. So this is going to be one of your damage dealers if you're doing like a blue-red deck. So you definitely need something like this. So this is a synergy card. You're going to want to build around it. And so like if you could build around it, I would say it's like a B. On its own, it's a C plus. Seismic Rupture is a 2 colorless, 1 red sorcery. Seismic Rupture deals 2 damage to each creature without flying. Essentially Pyroclasm, except more expensive. I don't know, it's like a C minus. I don't like it. It's a sorcery. Yeah. C minus. The each creature, and then worse, it's still only those with fly or without flying. So yeah, C minus. Strongbox Raider, maybe D plus even. Strongbox Raider is 2 colorless, 2 red creature orc pirate. It's a 5/2 and it has raid. If you attack this turn, exile the top 2 cards of your library. Choose one of them until end of the next turn. You may play that card. Cool little card generation. I'd give it like a C plus area. Whoop, a little too fast. Make sure we're on the right one. Battlesong Berserker is a 3 colorless, 1 red creature human berserker, and it's a 3/4. Whenever you attack, target creature you control gets +1/+0 and gains menace until another turn. So you can attack with this as a 4/4 with menace. I would give you a C plus B minus territory. Pretty solid. Definitely grab it. Hidetsugu. Oh, I'm gonna butcher this name. Hidetsugu's Second Right is a 3 colorless, 1 red instant. If a target player has exactly 10 life, Hidetsugu's Second Right deals 10 damage to that player. So I heard a story that the inside the walls of Wizards at the Coast during playtesting of this quickly became on everybody's radar if they were playing red, and you would try to avoid going to 10 health. So like you would willingly take extra damage just to avoid being at 10 health, just in case they had a Hidetsuga Second Right. So this is actually pretty solid. I would say this is probably like a B minus B card for sure. Like it's gonna put the fear in people, you know. Dragon Trainer is a 3 colorless, 2 red creature human 1/1. When this creature enters, create a 4/4 red dragon creature token with flying. I think this is really solid. I'll give it a B. You know, you essentially get 5/5 power, 4 of which are going to be flying. It's 2 separate creatures. So it's a 5/5 with flying and 2 separate creatures. Yeah, we're in that B territory. Shivan Dragon, 4 colorless, 2 red, creature dragon, flying 5/5 for 6. This creature gets +1 plus. Oh, and that's unlimited. Yeah, this is a like B plus territory. So you could play this, and now you have a 5/5 body, but then the next turn, like you at the very least have 2 more red that you could pump into it. Now it's a 7/5. Or you could attack, and then somebody just chooses to block, and you'd be like, all right, cool. And then just make it super big and crush them. Kellen Planar Trailblazer is a 1 red legendary creature human fairy scout. Is a 2/1, and then you can pay 1 colorless, 1 red. If Kellen is a scout, it becomes a human fairy detective and gains whenever Kellen deals combat damage to a player, exile the top card of your library. You may play that card at the end of your turn. And then you can pay 2 and a red. If Kellen is a detective, it becomes a 3/2 fairy rogue and gains double strike. Okay, so it's like an evolution. So it's like that 1 black card where you comes out for 1, but then you can pay 1 and it becomes a 2/2, and then you pay 2 and it becomes a 3/3, and then you pay 3 and it becomes like a 4/4 with death touch, and then you can keep paying 3 and it keeps getting bigger. So this, on the other hand, can all be done on the fly. So say you do have, what is that, 6 mana. You could play this for 1 and then pay the 2, and now it becomes Kellen the Scout or Kellen the Detective. And then you could pay the 3, and then the Kellen Detective becomes a 3/2 human fairy. And the fun part is you could do this in stages. So you could pay the 2 and then attack with it, and then if they decide to block, you could just pay the 3, and then it becomes a 3/2 human a fairy rogue, becomes double strike. So this is pretty insane. I like it. I put a B plus. Sear Slicer Goblin, 1 colorless, 1 red creature goblin warrior. It's a 2/1 and has raid. You can create a 1/1 red goblin creature token if it played. So essentially, you're getting a 3/2 for 2. And then it's in 2 creatures. I'll give it a B. Flame Wake Phoenix, 1 colorless, 2 red creature Phoenix. It's a 2/2 for 3, but it also has flying and haste. This creature attacks each combat if able. At the beginning of combat on your turn, if you control a creature with power 4 or greater, you may pay 1 red. If you do, return this card from your graveyard. Okay, nice. You get to keep pulling it out of the graveyard, and it attacks every turn. I'd give it a solid B, maybe B plus for the graveyard recursion. Electro Duplicate. Okay, I'm following the picture now. Okay. It's a 2 colorless, 1 red sorcery. Create a token that's a copy of target creature you control, except it has haste. And at the beginning of your end step, sacrifice this token, and then flashback for 4. That's pretty sweet. You could cast it on something big, and then it's gone at the end, or you can use it as a sack target after combat, and then you have flashback again. So this would work really well in like a sacrifice deck. Also works well in an aggro deck too, because it gives it haste. So I like it in both sense. So solid, like BB plus for me. Slagstorm, 1 colorless, 2 red, choose 1. Slagstorm deals 3 damage to each creature. Slagstorm deals 3 damage to each player. Real fun commander card. I would like it in commander. In draft, like a C plus maybe. It's 3 mana, 3 damage. C plus, probably closer to a C. Krenko, hey, there we go. We got Krenko. Krenko Mob Boss, 2 colorless, 2 red, legendary creature, Goblin Warrior. Create X1/1 red goblin creature tokens, where X is the number of goblins you control. So you just keep making goblins, baby. Just keep making goblins, baby. So synergistically, B plus, A minus for sure. On its own, if you don't have a lot of goblins, like, man, it's like a C plus, B minus. But if you build a goblin deck, this is it, baby. Itali, Primal Storm. God, I hate this card. It's a 4 mana, 4 colorless, 2 red Legendary creature, Elder Dinosaur. Whenever Atali attacks, exile the top card of each player's library. Then you may cast any number of spells from among those cards without paying their mana cost. And it's a 6/6. Thing is absolutely amazing in Commander. In Draft, it's a 6/6 for 6 that allows you to exile a card off your library and their library and cast. So still really solid. B plus, A minus, A territory. Like, it's up there. It's a solid card. Grab it if you see it. Drakuseth, Maw of Flames is 4 colorless, 3 red, legendary creature dragon, 7/7 flying. Whenever Drakuseth attacks, it deals 4 damage to any target and 3 damage to each of up to 2 other targets. So 4 damage to one target, and then 3 damage to each of up to 2 other targets. So I could do 2 damage to one and 1 damage to another, or all 3 damage to another one. That's really solid. It's super expensive. Like, it's definitely like bomb territory in Draft. Like, if you can get it out there, that's a B plus, A minus. Actually, I would say like an A minus A card for sure. It's just so damn expensive. Like, you could make an argument for B plus. So it's going to be hard to get out, but if you can get it out or cheat it out, like in a black-red deck maybe, that could be nice. Next up is Brass's Bounty. It's a 6 colorless 1 red sorcery. For each land you control, create a treasure token. I mean, again, great commander card. It's, I don't know. By the time you have 7 lands in Draft, like, do you really need another 7 lands? C minus. Twin Flame Tyrant is 3 colorless, 2 red. It's a creature dragon, 3/5 with flying. This is our first mythic card, by the way. If a source you would control would deal damage to an opponent or permanent an opponent controls, it deals double that damage instead. So this is a really nice card. Makes everything do double damage. Could work well in... Oh, deal damage and loss of life are different, though. So would work well in like an aggro deck. Would work well. I mean, it's a powerful card. It would definitely be like a B plus, A minus territory. Anytime you're trying to do damage. Rite of the Dragon Caller is 4 colorless, 2 red. It's an enchantment. Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, create a 5/5 dragon creature token with flying. Whenever, oh, okay. This is a must-have if you are doing a red-blue deck for sure. Like, you get this out, and you're rocking like 10 to 12 non-creature spells. Like, you're just making dragons left and right. So synergistically, this is like an A minus A for sure. On its own, if you don't have the right amount of instants or sorcery spells, then this is going to be hard to really pop off. Like, if you have less than 5, like, I wouldn't even consider it. Maybe as low as 8, that would be a good place to consider it. But non-synergistically, this is like a B. Chandra, Flame Shaper, is 5 colorless, 2 red, is a legendary planeswalker. Chandra, it comes in with 6 loyalty. You can +2 it to add 3 red, exile the top 3 cards of your library, choose one. You may play that card this turn. And then you can +1 it and create a token that's a copy of target creature you control, except it has haste. And at the beginning of the end step, sacrifice this token. And then you can -4 it. Chandra deals 8 damage divided as you choose among any number of target creatures and or planeswalkers. Very solid, super good card. A minus, A, all around. Like, does a lot of really cool stuff for your board. +1ing it gives you copies of your bombs. You can gain some more, get some more mana, and then get some card draw essentially out of that, some additional cards. Or you could just bop it onto the table and then wipe out a bunch of stuff, especially if they have a bunch of cheap stuff with that -4 ability. And that, my friends, brings us to the end of Red. And if you made it this far in the video, you might as well do the thing. Like, subscribe, follow, leave a comment below. We're making our way through all of the colors. We've done white, we've done blue, we've done black, we've done red now, and we have one more to go. and the main 5 colors, and we're going to go into green. I know we're going to see a lot of elves over there, but then we're still going to go cover multicolor, colorless, and take a look at the new lands as well. And then if we're feeling up to it, we might even get into the non-play booster cards as well. But until next time, we'll catch you all at the table. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Thanks everybody for hanging out here, and we're making our way through on to green next. We're doing green, but we're going to do the thing. In between these, I need to take a quick break because this is a lot of work. And so I am going to go ahead and take that break right now. And I'm going to add a 3-minute ad. And then that will make us not have ads for an hour. So I will be right back. All right, we're back. What's up, everybody? So, why didn't everybody not tell me? Am I greasy? A shiny dude. All right. So, we're going to go ahead and keep it rolling because there's a lot of these to get through. What's up, everybody, and welcome to another Foundations Play Booster color review or set review, however you want to call it. This time, we're on to green. So far, we've covered white, we've covered blue, we covered black, we covered red, and now we are on to green, and then we will cover multicolor, colorless, and review the new lands as well. So, without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into it, keeping in mind the perspective that we're taking is as a new competitive player. So I started playing competitively this summer, where I declared that I want to try to qualify for the Pro Tour in the next 5 years. So drafting is one of my weakest skill sets. So one of the things that helps me draft better is doing these set reviews. I am rating the cards. My rating system's a little bit different than maybe some of the pros that you've run into, where I think a standard rating, like a C average, C is an average, rating for a card would be something like a 2-2 for 2 would be a C. And then it goes up or down from there based off of keywords, synergies, and we might give it a synergistic score as well as maybe a constructed score, or even a commander score sometimes as we look at these cards. So this is slightly for education for you, hopefully mostly for entertainment, and then a ton of education for me. So come along, hang out with me while we go through this and take a look at our first card. All of these will be in ascending CMC order as well as ascending rarity order. So we're going to start off first up with Bushwhack at 1 green as a sorcery in common. And it says choose one, search your library for a basic land card, reveal it, put it into your hand, and then shuffle. Or you can have target creature you control fights target creature you don't control. So it is a fight or a fetch card for 1. I really like this. Nice solid BB plus territory. Great for ramping. Plus you could just, it's a fight for 1. Like, it's removal for you. It's great. Gives you options. Next up is a classic. Even I know this card. People like to make fun of me that been playing competitive Magic for forever. I mean, I've been playing since the 90s, but it's always been cafeteria table, buy my cards at the gas station Magic until this past summer. So some cards I just don't know. I just don't have a history with some of these cards. But this one, I do. I know Giant Growth. Target creature gets +3/+3 until end of turn. This is a little bit of a victim of power creep, but still a solid card. C+, B- territory in draft. Like a nice little combat trick that you can drop onto a card and get it to do some really interesting things. But that was the point of the set, right? That was the point of Foundations, is bring back some of the classic cards to make the game easier for people to get into, so that we're not reading a novel every time we're reading a card. It's like, it's simple. It's pay 1, it gets 3/3 until end of turn. Everybody can understand that. So all that to be said, in draft, it might have a little bit of a place at a C+ to B- for a combat trick. And now the classic, the thing that everybody's been talking about, good old Llanowar Elves at 1 green. It's a creature elf druid 1/1. It's also a mana dork at 1. This thing is still great. It's still powerful. Solid B+, maybe even a little bit higher. Especially if you get synergy with the other elves. So there is some elf synergy to be had in this draft. You could definitely see this go higher. But a mana dork for 1, that's a 1/1. Can't go wrong with that. That's an easy grab. Wary Thespian. It's like Wary Watchdog from Duskmourn. It was also a 3/1. And then it enters or dies, and you get to surveil 1. Nice solid card. Easy grab and draft. It's gives you that surveil capabilities. Now, there's not things like Delirium that you need to worry about. I was like, what was that term? We're going to get 4 things. But there is Threshold. So this could be a nice splash for like a black-blue deck, splash green. Get some ways to throw some things in the graveyard. But 3/1 body is nice, a decent grab. So C plus territory. Gnarlid Colony is a 1 colorless, 1 green creature beast, is a 2/2. So a 2/2 for 2 already. It's at C. You can have a kicker, pay 2, and a green. And if this creature was kicked, it enters with 2 1/1 counters on it. So you could pay 5, and it's a 4/4. And then each creature you control with a 1/1 counter on it has trample. So it's a 4/4 with trample for 5. Or it's just a 2/2 for 2. I think the flexibility makes it like upwards of a B minus. I would say it's on the low end of a B minus. Next up is Bite Down. It's a 1 colorless, 1 green, and target creature you control deals damage equal to its power to target creature or planeswalker. So it's a bite for 2. A bite for 2. Not bad. I would say decent little removal in that B minus B territory. Maybe it could be a little bit higher, but it probably solid B for sure. Let's go with solid B. Dwynen's Elite. Dwynen's Elite. I'm going with that. 1 colorless, 1 green creature elf. Pay attention to the elves. 2/2 for 2, so already solid. And then when this creature enters, if you control another elf, create a 1/1 green elf warrior creature token. So it synergizes with itself. You get a couple of these, you can go wide real quick. Grow from the Ashes. What grade would we give this? Synergistically, it's like a B plus. On its own, it's still like a B minus. It's 2/2 for 2. Well, 2/2 for 2 on its own is a C, right? That's the scale that we established. If you can get this to synergize with other elves, like it's a B plus territory. Grow from the Ashes is 2 colorless, 1 green. It's a sorcery, and you can kick it for 2. Search your library for a basic land card, put it onto the battlefield, then shuffle. If the spell was kicked, instead search your library for 2 basic land cards, and then put them onto the battlefield. So for 5, you can get 2 lands and put it on. So we saw some landfall cards. In like green, we saw some in another color too, or not green, in red. So it's kind of on the pricey side. So I would put it at like a C, maybe a C minus. It is what it's worth. Ambush Wolf. It's 2 colorless, 1 green creature wolf. It's a 4/2 with flash. I like that. Then this creature enters, exile up to 1 target card from a graveyard. I would say solid. This is, I would say like that B minus B territory. You could flash it in for removal. You could flash it in at an end step, so when everybody's tapped out, and so now you have a 4/2 on the board. Exile a graveyard, so a card from a graveyard. So if they're doing some crazy like graveyard recursion BS, like you can take care of it. So I would say like a B minus B territory. Beastkin Ranger is a 2 colorless, 1 green creature elf ranger. Yeah, another elf. 3/3, trample. And whenever another creature you control enters, this creature gets +1 and +0 until end of turn. So this could happen multiple times. So if you have multiple creatures enter, this keeps getting +1, +0. And so this could get out of hand real quick. I'm going to put this up in like B plus territory. Broken Wings is a 2 colorless, 1 green instant, destroy target artifact, enchantment, or creature with flying. The limitation on creature with flying is always a little rough. I'm going to give it like a C minus. I haven't gotten to the artifacts yet. Enchantments, there are some pretty decent ones. There are quite a few creatures with flying. So if you're really desperate for some removal, this would be, I wouldn't even say desperate. Like if you need removal, this is decent removal because there is so many things with flying, and the things with flying tend to be the scary things, right? Because if you don't also have flying, it's hard to deal with. So maybe I'll bump up the score. I'll give it like a C plus. Tree Top Snare Spinner is a 3 colorless, 1 green creature spider, 1/4 with reach and death touch. put a 1/1 counter on target creature you control, activate only as a sorcery. So you can put the 1/1 on this creature. This is actually pretty good. I would give this like a B for sure. So I don't know if you guys have ever seen those spiders that this reminds me of, but those like, they like sit in the trees like this. My hands aren't skinny enough. They're like really skinny. And they have these massive webs. And then they sit up in the trees, and the webs are super thick. And they're meant to catch birds exactly like this, like little birds, like little chickadees and things that fly through it. What are those called? I can't remember what the spiders are. They're scary. They're like this big, like this compared to my face. Like they're like this big, sitting in the tree. Yeah, it grossed me out. That was my story. They're scary. I don't like it. But yeah, this is a solid card. I definitely snag this. Next up is Cackling Prowler. Is a 3 colorless, 1 green creature, hyena rogue. It's got Ward 2 and Morbid. At the beginning of your end step, if a creature died this turn, put a 1/1 counter on this creature. So this is pretty nice. This can get pretty big. It's a 4/4 for 3 with Ward 2. Like, I'll give it like a B-. If you have some ways to like sack some stuff or make sure some stuff is dying every turn, this doesn't get spicy. Even if you get 1 trigger off of it, it's instantly spicy. It becomes a 5/4. So with Ward 2, like that's nuts. Elfsworn Giant is a 3 colorless, 2 green creature giant. It's a 5/3, and it has reach. Okay. And landfall. Whenever a land you control enters, create a 1/1 green elf warrior. So there's some elf synergies. There's some ramp synergies here with the landfall. The fact that it's a 5/3 with reach, I do like. It can smack some stuff out of the air there. It's kind of small toughness though at 3 toughness. This one's a tough one for me. I would say it's a B-. Like I would snag it in a green deck. The fact it can smack shit out of the air. It's a little late to be taking advantage of landfall, but if you do get some lands or some sack lands, you know, you can easily get a few elves out on the table. Next up is Apothecary Stomper. You know what this one reminds me of? If anybody plays World of Warcraft and there's those mounts that have like the shop. Oh yeah, they're famous for this right now. They have the $90 mount that has like the armor repair, the shop, and then like your mail on it. That's what this reminds me of, is the art at least. But the Apothecary Stomper is a 4 colorless, 2 green creature elephant for 4/4. It has vigilance, and then when this creature enters, choose 1. Put 2 1/1 counters on target creature you control or gain 4 life. So essentially, it could come out as a 6/6 for 6 with vigilance, which would put it in like the C plus B- territory. But it gives you options. Snakeskin Veils coming back. Snakeskin Veils already here. We have the one. So that was our last common. So now we're on to uncommon. Snakeskin Veil is 1 green. It's an instant. Put a 1/1 counter on target creature you control. It gains hexproof until end of turn. So we're seeing this already in like the Gruul aggro decks. So this is a nice little addition for the instant. Gets the 1/1 and hexproof, so it can protect the creature. Keep it alive if people are going for removal. Wildwood Scourge. Pay X and a green creature, Hydra. It's a 0/0. This creature enters with X 1/1 counters on it. Whenever 1 or more 1/1 counters are put onto another non-Hydra creature you control, put a 1/1 counter on this creature. So this would be a super fun card. Ow. Hit my hand on the desk. This would be a super fun card in Commander, especially in like a counters deck that you may be building. In draft, there are some ways to generate reliably some counters. So you could find some synergies here. So like synergistically, I think this is a B. Like on its own, like you might be able to cast it as like, you know, you might be able to cast it late game as like a 4/4 or a 5/5 for 6. Like it's always going to be subpar, right? Because the additional 1. But if you have other ways to add counters onto it, that's when like it synergistically is like a B to a B+. Like on its own, if you can never get another 1/1 counter onto anything else, then this is like a C to C- territory. The flexibility of it probably keep it like a solid C, but the fact that it's always going to be like undervalued for its mana cost because it's always going to be one more green is going to kind of keep it down. But if you have other ways to get counters on it, then or on creatures, then this can get out of hand pretty quickly. Mild-mannered librarian, 1 green creature human. It's a 1/1. You can pay 3 in a colorless. This creature becomes a werewolf. Put 2 1/1 counters on it and draw a card. Activate only once. So you get to draw a card. So wait, what does this become? It's a 5 CMC for a 3/3 werewolf, and you get to draw a card. So you're paying 2 to draw a card over standard price, which is pretty good. I'd say it's like a B-, C+, B- territory. I like the art on that too. Like you get the long fingernails, and then you got like the wolf ears in the background with the wolf claws. Like that's pretty good art. Next up is the Nessian Hornbeetle. 1 colorless, 1 green creature insect 2/2 at the beginning of combat on your turn. If you control another creature with power 4 or greater, put a 1/1 counter on this creature. So that would go well with Hydra. Yep, told you. There's a way to make 1/1 counters. I think it's funny, the art with this. It's like a little beetle on a big beetle. Eager Truffle Snout. 2 colorless, 1 green creature boar 4/2 trample. So it's already at par with the 4/2 for 3. It's got trample, so that's going to bump it up like a C+-ish area. Whenever this creature deals combat damage to a player, create a food token. So I would put that up to like a B-. Pretty solid card to grab. Garruk's Uprising is a 2 colorless, 1 green enchantment. When this enchantment enters, if you control a creature with power 4 or greater, draw a card. Creatures you control have trample. And then whenever a creature you control with power 4 or greater enters, draw a card. So when this enters, if you have something with 4 or greater, draw a card. And then everything has trample. And then it continues to say whenever a creature you control with power 4 or greater enters, draw a card. So every time you... So this is good for a big stompy deck. I mean, this would be fun for a commander deck. This would be fun, you know, for new players that just want to play a bunch of big cards. I think this is hard to play in draft. So I'd put this at like a C-, D+. Felling Blow is, well, I mean, 3 mana to draw a card. And then maybe you play another 4 or 2 later. Yeah, maybe like a C+. Maybe a C+. Like you're going to get 2, maybe 3 cards out of this. Felling Blow is a 2 colorless, 1 green sorcery. Put a 1/1 counter on target creature you control. Then that creature deals damage equal to its power to target creature an opponent controls. So it's like a bite. Or is this bite or a fight? No, it's a bite. So, and it's a 1/1 counter, so it would go things like Hydra. Solid little like removal and combat trick. Well, it's not a combat trick because it's a sorcery. So removal. But it's at sorcery speed. Oh, like C+. It's like worth it's worth its price. Inspiring Call is a 2 colorless, 1 green. It's an instant. Draw a card for each creature you control with a 1/1 counter on it. Those creatures gain indestructible until end of turn. This is great, like I said, commander decks. This is great if you have like synergy. This is fun. This is a harken back to like when Magic was simpler for sure. But is it going to work well in draft? I don't think so. I'm going to put it as, I mean, they have to have 1/1 counters on it. Like it's a C- D+. Reclamation Sage is a 2 colorless, 1 green creature elf. Pay attention to elves. 2/1. When this creature enters, you may destroy target artifact or enchantment. It's like a 2-for-1. You get a creature, and you get some artifact or enchantment destruction. So I would C+, B-. Blanchwood Armor, 2 colorless, 1 green, enchant aura, enchant creature. When you enter, enchant creature gets +1/+1 for each force you control. I mean, you're gonna get some value out of it. Like you're gonna probably have, well, at least 1 green, if not 2 or 3, by the time you play this. So it's like a 3/3 for 3, and then it will continue to grow. But like rampant growth gives you 3/3 right off the bat. So like I don't know, C minus. Dwynen, but great in Commander. Dwynen, Gilt Leaf Dane. Is that an alpha? No, it's not an alpha. Gilt Leaf Dane is a 2 colorless, 3 green legendary creature elf warrior. This is a elf though. 3/4 with reach. Nice. Other elf creatures you control get +1/+1. Whenever Dwynen attacks, you gain 1 life for each attacking elf you control. Solid. I'll give it a B. Elvish Regrower is 2 colorless, 2 green, creature, elf, druid. When this creature enters, return target permanent card from your graveyard to your hand, and as a 4/3. Interesting. I wonder if green-black is a thing. I mean, you're getting a card back for 4, and it's still a 4/3 body. I would put B minus. Needletooth Pack is a 3 colorless, 2 green creature dinosaur. It's a 4/5 for 5. But it has morbid. So at the beginning of your end step, if a creature died this turn, put 2 1/1 counters on target creature you control. Is that every time a creature dies? That's really solid. I'll take it. B plus. Overrun. Here's a classic. I know this card. 2 colorless, 3 green. It's a sorcery. And creatures you control get +3/+3 and gain trample until end of turn. Again, a victim of power creep throughout the years. Unfortunately, not that great a card. Might still be fun in Commander. It's going in that D plus territory. Quake Strider Ceratops. Here we go, baby. The 12/8. It is a 3 colorless, 3 green creature dinosaur, 12/8. And for the first time in all my travels, I've encountered a creature I can only describe as an apex herbivore. Thank you, Vivian Reed. So this was not a victim of power creep. There was a card that was the same cost way back in the day that was a 6/4. And is a flourisher. What would be the opposite of a victim of power creep? Somebody that's flourished in that power creep. So they wanted to make something similar, but for the modern power level. And they did it. This is just a big old boy for 6. We'll take it. I like it. It's a B plus. Like, grab it. It's one of your bombs on the table. It's hard to deal with. They have to go with direct removal. Otherwise, it's going to be stompy. The Affectionate Indrik is a 5 colorless, 1 green creature beast, 4/4. When this creature enters, you may have it fight target creature you don't control. This is nice. I like it when it comes in. Just fight something. Does 4 damage to it, and the picture's funny. Like it's trying to be friendly and accidentally does 4 damage to something. So all that to be said, it's a solid card. 6 mana for 4/4. It's a little expensive, but it does then 4 damage to something. I'll give it like a B minus. It's the best I can do. Maybe a C plus, but B minus. And we are on to the first of the rares. Scavenging Ooze kept the old art, so I know. So I've always wondered, like, what the hell is going on in this picture? And then I just realized, like, this is the ooze. And it's like eating an alligator. Like, this is the alligator. Like, I forever thought that this alligator thing was like the body, and then this was the head. Interesting. All that to be said. Scavenging Ooze. 1 colorless, 1 green. Creature Ooze, 2/2. Exile target card from a graveyard. If it was a creature card, put a 1/1 counter on this creature, you gain a life. Really solid card. B plus, A minus. We like it. Loot Exuberant Explorer. Loot's cute. But is it any good? 2 colorless, 1 green, 1/4. All right, from the price, we're a little lackluster. You may play an additional land on each of your turns. Again, it's a great, like, commander card. But then you can pay 4 colorless, 2 green, tap, look at the top 6 cards of your library, reveal a creature card with mana value less than or equal to the number of lands you control from among them, and put it onto the battlefield. Put the rest on the bottom in random order. Now that's a really solid ability because like to pay 6 to do this, like you can really just pay for anything that's 6 or less. So that boy, for instance, can just go right onto the battlefield. That's pretty cool. If you can get it to go off, I mean, 3 mana, now you can play 2 land per turn. Like, by turn 3, do you really have extra land in your hand? Maybe. If you do, it'll help you get it out. And then by turn 6... So say turn 3, you have 2 extra lands in your hand. And so now you get to play turn 3, play this. Now you get to play one of those extra lands. So now you're up 4 lands. Then turn 4, you're at 5 lands. So, like, you still need to draw the 6th land in that scenario. But say you only had 1 extra land. Like, say you were right on curve. Like, then what? Right? No. It's tough. It's tough. Like, if you can get this to work, it's pretty solid. But I would say, like, B minus territory. Spinner of Souls is a 2 colorless, 1 green creature spirit, 4/3 with reach. I already like the stats. Whenever another non-token creature you control dies, you may reveal cards from the top of your library until you reveal a creature card. Put that card into your hand and the rest on the bottom of your library in random order. Really solid. B plus territory. We like it. Genesis Wave, X colorless and 3 green. It's a sorcery. Reveal the top X cards of your library. You may put any number of permanent cards with mana value X or less from among them onto the battlefield. Then put all cards revealed this way that weren't put onto the battlefield into your graveyard. Okay. Any number of permanent cards with mana value X or less. So this could be really interesting in a constructed deck because then you know, like, hey, none of my cards are less than are 5 or less. So then you could pay 5 for that and pay 8. And then you could just grab all of your cards and put them on the battlefield or something crazy, right? But they have to be permanent cards. So how would this play out in draft? I mean, well, again, so it's you can only look at the top X cards. So like 5 in my example, I could look at the top 5 cards and then grab cards that are 5. I don't know. I think this is too hard to get to work. I'm going to put like C minus D plus territory. Sylvan Scavenging is a 1 colorless, 2 green enchantment. At the beginning of your end step, choose 1. Put a 1/1 counter on target creature control. Create a 3/3 raccoon creature token with if you control a creature with power 4 or greater. So basically, you can pay 3, put this down, and then put a 1/1 counter on target creature you control on your end step. So it's like Innkeeper's Talent, except without the doubling fact. But you do get to choose to put a raccoon out as well. I like it. We're going to do like a B plus. Mossborn Hydra is a 2 colorless, 1 green creature elemental Hydra. It's a 0/0, but it has trample. And this creature enters with a 1/1 counter on it. Landfall. Whenever a land you control enters, double the number of 1/1 counters on this. So every land after this is played, first land played will be double that. So it's a 2/2. Next land played, it's a 4/4. That's really solid. It's played early enough at 3 that you're likely to get, 1 to 3 extra lands. So even if you got 3, it'd be 1 to 2, 2 to 4, and then 3 to 8. So this thing can get big pretty quick, and it has trample, which is pretty sweet. So I give it like a B plus territory, B plus territory. Elvish Druid, we got another elf. Or Archdruid. Now, Elvish Archdruid is a 1 colorless, 2 green creature, elf druid, 2/2. Other elf creatures you control get +1/+1, and then add 1 green for each elf you control. Huge ramp for you. I like it. If you have an elf deck, like this is a B plus synergistically. On its own, counts itself as an elf, so it's a 3 mana 2/2 mana dork. So on its own, it's still like a B minus. Preposterous Proportions is a 5 colorless 2 green sorcery. Creatures you control get +10/+10 and gain vigilance until end of turn. This thing is just so damn expensive. It'll be hella fun in like a commander squirrel deck, like exactly like what's shown here. Just give. All right, I have 73 squirrels, and now they all have +10/+10. What you got, right? In draft, I think it's just gonna be too hard. You might take it if you don't have a better pick, but how expensive it is. Hopefully, you have like a wide enough board that you can make a few creatures. I don't know, C minus, D plus. Gulta, Primal Hunger, 10 colorless, 2 green, legendary creature, elder, dinosaur. This spell costs X less to cast, where X is the total power of creatures you control, and it's a 12/12 with trample. So you could potentially, like, what would be? Like 2 5/5s, 3 3/3s, 4 2/2s. Like, you could probably make up that cost pretty quickly to get this out there. So especially if you're in a green deck, there's a lot of like bigger creatures. So, or even elf deck, throwing this in there, you get a bunch of elves, and it just makes this really cheap. I would give it like a B, maybe B plus if you can get it out cheap. Doubling Season. I think is Doubling Season our first? Doubling Season is our first mythic card we're going to take a look at. This is a 4 colorless, 1 green enchantment. If an effect would create 1 or more tokens under your control, it creates twice that many of those tokens instead. If an effect would put 1 or more counters on a permanent you control, it puts twice that many of those. So like Doubling Season has already been done, I think, a little bit better with like Innkeeper's Talent, but it's still really good in like commander decks for sure. If you're making a 1/1 counter or like a token generation deck, 5 mana does not put it out of reach in draft, but it is a build around like B plus B. If you don't build around this, like, don't even take it. Like, this is a D minus F if you can't build around it. If you're like in pack 3, this was the mythic you were presented, and you had already gone like deep into like counter generation or token generation, then I would snag it for sure. Outside of that, like, it's gonna be hard to play in draft. Next up is Vivian Reed, 3 colorless, 2 green, legendary planeswalker. Vivian comes in with 5 loyalty counters. You can +1 it for looking at the top 4 cards of your library. You may reveal a creature or land card from among them and put it into your hand. Put the rest on the bottom of your library in random order. Destroy, I can -3 it. Destroy target artifact, enchantment, or creature with flying. And then you can -8 it. You get an emblem with creatures you control, get +2/+2, and have vigilance, trample, and indestructible. If you can get it to -8, that's amazing. This is definitely like an A- card for sure. Definitely snag it if you see it. Next up is Quilled Great Worm. This is a 4 colorless, 2 green creature worm, 7/7 trample. Whenever a creature you control deals combat damage during your turn, put that many 1/1 counters on it. And then you may cast this card from your graveyard by removing 6 counters from among creatures you control in addition to paying its other costs. Again, wonderful commander card. If you build a counter deck, this works well. I mean, I guess if you get this early, pack 1, pack 2 as your mythic slot, and I need to just go counters now, like, maybe you could make this happen. But it is 6 mana for 7/7 with trample, so it's still punching above its weight class. So it's a solid B, and then synergistically, you could get this up to like a B plus. And that, my friends, is gonna wrap up green. We've covered white, blue, black, red, and now green. And we only have a few more left in covering multicolor, colorless, and the lands. If you've made it this far, you might as well like, subscribe, leave a comment below. That's the best way you can support a small content creator like myself, is just following along, watching the videos, getting the word out, interacting. It pushes the video out to everybody else who might enjoy it as well. But I appreciate you hanging out with me and following along in our Play Booster review here with the new foundation set. And until next time, we'll catch you at the table. Awesome, awesome, awesome. If you're hanging out in the stream, I appreciate you. Thank you very much. This is a ton of work to go through these, so I thank everybody for hanging out with us. We're going to go through the multicolor. Okay, so we got 25 cards to go through in multicolor. Then 18 to go through in colorless. And then how many lands do we have? And then 15 lands to go through. Cool. So we will be able to power through all of that fairly quickly. But as we did last time, we're going to take a quick break. We'll run a 3-minute ad. That way there's no pre-roll ads. And then we're going to jump right back into this and then do the color or multicolor. And then we'll do the colorless and do the lands. And then we will be done with the Play Booster set. And then I'm probably going to take a break, eat dinner, and then probably going to come back and then finish out just the set. We're going to do the rest of the standard legal set. And I think there's going to be a lot of reprints in that. So it'll still be good for me to see what's going to be standard legal. But we really wanted to finish at least the draft set, which is the Play Booster set. So I will be right back. I'm going to go use the restroom, stretch my legs, and then do a quick 3-minute ad. And then we'll be back. All right, we're back. We're back. We're back. Hi, everybody. Oh, I had to like wash my face, rehydrate, go to the bathroom. These are intense, but they're fun. They're fun. So, if you're hanging out in the live stream, I appreciate you. If you're on Twitch, consider following. If you're on YouTube, consider liking, leaving a comment, subscribing. That's great. Easy, free ways to support the channel. But we're going to go ahead and break right into recording multicolor. So let's go ahead and get this lined up here. What's up, everybody, and welcome to another Foundations set review. This time we're going to cover multicolored. So far we've covered the white, the blue, the black, the green, and the red. We're finally over into the multicolor. We have left in front of us still to do the colorless and review the new lands as well. And just as a reminder, we're going to look at this just a little bit differently. My basic ratings for a card go something like a 2-2 for 2 CMC is going to be a C. That's just a middle of the road passing grade. And this grade is given based off of its, in my opinion, its draft strength. So it's going to be a little bit different than a lot of maybe other drafters and how they rate cards. So a 2-2 for 2 or a 3-3 for 3 is like a C ranking. Keywords are going to help it move up. Synergies are going to help it move up. Being overpriced or not enough value is going to help it move down. And this is from somebody that is still learning to draft. Draft is obviously one of my weakest skill sets if you've watched my bronze to mythic runs. But I'm okay at constructed. Managed to get 2 RC invites for next quarter. So I'm double invited. So I'm going to attend both Charlotte and Portland regional championships next quarter. So I'm making progress in my path to pro journey here. And I declared this past summer in 2024 that I want to try to qualify for the Pro Tour in the next 5 years. So I've been working towards that, and doing set reviews help me learn. Hopefully they're entertaining for you. So without further ado, let's go ahead and take a look at our first card in colorless. These are going to be organized in ascending order on CMC cost, as well as ascending order in rarity. So the first one that we have up is the Empyrean Eagle. 1 colorless, 1 white, 1 blue, is a creature bird spirit, 2/3, flying, and other creatures you control with flying gets +1/+1. So, you know, right off the bat, 2/3 for 3 with flying, that's going to keep it right around a C. If you can build some synergy, so you have other things with flying in the white and in the blue colors, then this could go up synergistically. I think it's maybe a B- to potentially B as a critical piece in a flying deck. But on its own, it's probably pretty solidly a C. Or it is a C in my book, at least. Kaikar, Zephyr Awakener, is a 2 colorless, 1 white, 1 blue legendary creature bird wizard as a 3/4 with flying. And whenever you cast a non-creature spell, choose 1, exile another target creature you control, return that card to the battlefield under its owner's control at the beginning of the next end step. And then we have create a 1/1 spirit creature token with flying. So that would work synergistically well with this Empyrean Eagle. Nice abilities on this. I would say right off the bat, probably like a B, a solid B. To have a 3/4 flyer, plus you have some ability every time you cast that non-creature spell to either get an ETB trigger again or to create a 1/1 creature. So right off the bat, you could play this, play another card, and now you have a 4/5 worth of value on the board in flying. So yeah, solid B in my book. Next up, in the Dimir colors is Dreadwing Scavenger. Is going to be a 1 colorless, 1 blue, 1 black. It's a creature nightmare bird. It's a flying 2/2, and whenever this creature enters or attacks, draw a card, then discard a card. And then this is going to play off that threshold mechanic. So this creature gets +1/+1 and has death touch as long as there are 7 or more cards. So it can help you a little bit to get to threshold by discarding a card, but it does come in as sort of a 3/3 with death touch and flying. So I'll give it, and some card draw, so I'd give it like a B-, B territory. Pretty solid card. Next up is Consuming Aberration. This is another Dimir card. It's a 3 colorless, 1 blue, 1 black creature horror, and it has star toughness. So Consuming Aberration's power and toughness are each equal to the number of cards in your opponent's graveyards. When you cast a spell, each opponent reveals cards from the top of their library until they reveal a land card, then puts those cards into their graveyard. Wow. Okay. So this card is insane for Commander. So I would definitely say if you're in Dimir colors, this card should be in your deck for Commander. For Draft, there could be some value here. I would say, I mean, you're casting on turn 5, so there's probably cards in your opponent's graveyard, hopefully. Hopefully you're casting it for somewhere around, well, you're casting it for 5, but hopefully you're getting somewhere around a 5/5 for it. But the upward potential could be really insane here. So I'm going to give it a B. Synergistically, if you have the ability to like make your opponent discard cards, which is something that black does pretty well, then you could push this up to like a B+, but I would say like a B- B territory. Absolutely insane in Commander. That would definitely throw that in a Commander deck if I was in those colors. Perforating Artist is a 1 colorless, 1 black creature devil that is a 3/2 with death touch and also has raid. Each opponent loses 3 life unless that player sacrifices a non-land permanent of their choice or discards a card. So this reminds me a lot of the old Osseous Stick Twister from Duskmourn. It's a little bit more expensive. It's 3 CMC versus 2 CMC, but it's also a 3/2 with death touch. And don't get the life gain off of it, but hey, at least they're going to lose 3 life, or they have to sacrifice a non-land permanent or discard a card. This card synergizes really well with sacrifice decks, with just keeping pressure. Like they got to deal with it, otherwise they're taking 3 life or discarding a card or destroying a non-land permanent. I'll definitely say this card is going to be in that B+ territory for me. Alacia, Who Laughs at Fate, is a 1 colorless, 1 black, 1. If you got the life gain, I would put it A-. Yeah, I'll keep it B+. B+. Alacia, Who Laughs at Fate, is 1 colorless, 1 black, 1 red legendary creature human warrior that is a 2/2 first strike. Whenever Alacia attacks, put a 1/1 counter on it. So the first time it attacks, it's going to be a 3/3 with first strike. That's insane. It also has raid. Return target creature card with mana value less than or equal to Alacia's power from your graveyard to the battlefield. This thing's insane, especially in a sacrifice deck. Oh my god. I would do A- to A for sure. I like it. Next up is Ruby Daring Tracker. It is a 1, so it's Gruul, 1 red, 1 green, and legendary creature Human Scout is a 1/2. It has haste, and then whenever Ruby attacks while you control a creature with power 4 or greater, Ruby gets +2/+2 until end of turn. Okay, and then you can just tap it for a red or green. So it's a mana dork for 2, has haste, and this great ability where it can essentially become a 3/4. So I would say pretty stellar. I don't know. This is tough. B+. Yeah, that's a pretty stellar card. I like it. Ashru Animus is 2 colorless, 1 green, or 1 red, 1 green. Is a creature lizard druid. It has trample and is a 4/4. So 4/4 for 4 with trample is already like C+ territory. When this creature attacks another target creature you control, gains trample and gets +X/+X, where until end of turn, where X is this creature's power. So something else that attacks with it is going to get be a 4/4 right off the bat. Get 4. That's insane. Yeah, this is A minus territory. I like it. Does some work. Good Fortune Unicorn. 1 colorless, 1 green, 1 white creature unicorn that's a 2/2. Whenever another creature you control enters, put a 1/1 counter on it. So this can get out of hand on its own without any counters on it. I would say it's like a C minus. But if you can get some counters on it by just playing creatures, so go wide deck. So if you combine this with like a white token or like green elf deck, combine this in there, you're going to make this thing scale really quick because it's whenever another creature, it gets a 1/1 counter. So it's not just until end of turn, it's an actual counter. So this thing can get insane. If you build good synergies around it, I would say B plus to A minus territory. On its own, if you're not putting out a lot of creatures, then you'll get some value out of it and it'll be closer to like a B minus. But you need to kind of keep in mind what you're trying to do with this. And then 1 green, 1 white for Anthem of Champions. It's an enchantment. Creatures you control get +1/+1. I mean, C plus. It's okay. Fiendish Panda. I mean, I guess it makes everything punch higher. B minus. Fiendish Panda. So we got 2 colorless, 1 white, 1 black. It's a creature bear demon. All right. That's a 3/2. Whenever you gain life, put a 1/1 counter on this creature. So this is going to be great in the life gain deck. So that's black-white for sure. When this creature dies, return another target non-bear creature card with mana value less than or equal to this creature's power from your graveyard. So if you do nothing, this thing dies, you can pull out a creature with 3 CMC or below. If you get a couple life gains on this, like this is great. You're gonna be able to keep pulling shit out. B plus, I like it in a life gain deck. Without the synergy, C plus. No, without the synergy, it's still a B minus. Yeah, without the synergy, it's still a B minus. Elenda, Saint of Dusk, is a 2 colorless, 1 white, 1 black, legendary creature vampire knight. That's a 4/4. All right. Lifelink and hexproof from instants. Interesting. As long as your life total is greater than your starting life total, Elenda gets +1/+1 and has menace. Elenda gets an additional +5/+5 as long as your life total is at least 10 or greater from your starting life. This would be great in a commander deck. You might be able to do some cool constructed things. If you're in a nice life gain deck in draft, you could probably make this worth it. But right off the bat, it's a 4/4 that has lifelink and hexproof from instance. I would put it at a B minus just on its own. If you can get any of these additional synergies, that would bump up to a B or a B plus. Next up in the Is It colors, Belmore Battle Mage Captain is blue, 1 blue, 1 red, legendary creature, bird wizard. It's a 1/3, has flying. Okay. So it's a little bit above that, so like it's C plus already. Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, creatures you control get +1/+0 and gain trample until end of turn. So this would be great in the spell deck of red and blue. And this includes itself, gets +1/+0. So if you are casting 2 or 3 instant or sorcery spells in a turn, this could definitely help you out. I still think doing a spell heavy deck and draft is kind of difficult to actually create a win con without some very specific pieces to it. So just in general, like it kind of gets struck out. But I'll still give it like a B minus if you can get some synergies out of it. Next up is Thousand Year Storm, 4 colorless, 1 blue, 1 red enchantment. And then whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, copy it for each other instant and sorcery spell you've cast before it this turn. You may choose new targets for the copy. That's insane. This is definitely like a piece that you need to build around if you're doing that sort of instant and sorcery spell casting deck. Again, I think it's just kind of hard to do in blue-red, but we'll see how it turns out. There was a lot of good like instants and sorceries in common. So maybe this is going to be a little bit more viable than it's been in Duskmourn and Bloomburrow, which were the last 2 sets I took seriously for draft. So we'll see. If you can, definitely include this piece. If it turns out to be weak, then you know this is like a C plus, just because it's so expensive, and if you're not casting a lot of instants and sorceries, like I wouldn't even grab it maybe. So like a C minus, like it's a build around B. Otherwise, it's like a D plus C minus. That's what I'll settle on. Another Niv Mizzet, Visionary. It's a 4 colorless, 1 blue, 1 red, legendary creature, dragon, wizard, flying, 5/5. You have no maximum hand size. Whenever a source you control deals non-combat damage to an opponent, you draw that many cards. So that could be pretty sweet if you get the Bolt Wave or Bolt Lightning or anything like that, and are doing direct damage to them. You can get some more card draw. So I would definitely say this is a really solid card, like B plus, A minus territory, probably closer to A minus. Wardens of the Cycle is a 1 colorless, 1 black, and 2 green creature elf warlock. Elves, gotta pay attention to elves. Is a 3/4. And it has Morbid. At the beginning of your end step, if a creature died this turn, choose 1, gain 2 life, or you draw a card and you lose 1 life. Okay. So some life gain synergies there, but I don't know. Is it really worth it? The draw the card, lose a life is definitely worth it. I would say it's solid B. Lathril, Blade of the Elves, another elf, is 2 colorless, 1 black, 1 green, and that is a legendary creature, Elf Noble, for 2/3, has Menace, and whenever Lathril deals combat damage to a player, create that many 1/1 green elf warrior tokens. All right, so more token generation. This is good. It also helps for like sacrifice capabilities in black. Go wide with elves. Tap 10 untapped elves you control. Each opponent loses 10 life and you gain 10 life. I mean, if you went hard on the elf synergy, like you could probably make this work, but I would say you're mostly going to take advantage of getting extra creatures, and this has menace. So I would say solid like B minus B on its own, and then if you have really good synergy, this could be a solid B plus to A minus territory if you have a nice like elf build around. So build around B plus, A minus, standard like B minus. Heroic Reinforcements. I believe this is a reprint, right? 2 colorless, 1 red, 1 white is a sorcery. Create 2 1/1 white soldier creature tokens until end of turn. Creatures you control get +1/+1 and gain haste. So this is a way to get 2 more creatures onto the board, plus give everything haste, and then everything +1/+1. This is a really solid card. I really like this. B to B plus. Swiftblade Vindicator, 1 red, 1 white, creature, human, soldier, double strike, vigilance, trample, and is a 1/1. I'm gonna put this in my dinosaur deck. Look at all those keywords. I like it. Double strike for 2, and vigilance. Yeah, this is a B plus. Tatiova Benthic Druid, 3 colorless, 1 green, 1 white. Legendary creature, Merfolk Druid, is landfall. Whenever a land you control enters, you gain 1 life and draw a card. It's a 3/3. 3/3 for 5 in landfall. Like, it's so hard. It's so late. I'm giving it like C minus, D plus territory. Coma World Eater, 3 colorless, 2 green, 2 blue, legendary creature, serpent. It's an 8/12. This spell can't be countered. It has trample and ward 4. Whenever Coma deals combat damage to a player, create 4. This thing's insane. Create 4 3/3 blue serpent creature tokens named Coma's Coil. This is an A plus territory. Yeah, this thing is insane. Yeah. Snatch Grab. Zamone Paradox Sculptor, 2 colorless, 1 green, 1 blue, legendary creature, human wizard. It's a 1/4. At the beginning of your combat on your turn, put a 1/1 counter on each of up to 2 target creatures you control, and then you can pay 1 green and 1 blue, double the number of each kind of counter on up to 2 creatures. Yeah, this is also insane. This is A territory. This is really nice. Muldrotha, the Gravetide, 3 colorless, 1 black, 1 blue, and 1 green. I said that out of order. It's 3 colorless, 1 black, 1 green, 1 blue. And is a legendary creature elemental avatar for 6. So it's a 6/6 for 6 already, but it is 3 colors. So that's trying to get there is always a little bit of a challenge. During each of your turns, you may play a land and cast a spell of each permanent type from your graveyard. That's insane. This is up there too. This is an A minus territory. To A. A minus to A. Solid. Here we go. Progenitus. 2 white, 2 blue, 2 black, 2 red, and 2 green. Legendary creature Hydra avatar that is a 10/10. It has protection from everything. If Progenitus would be put into a graveyard from anywhere, reveal Progenitus and shuffle it into its owner's library instead. So the only way to get rid of this thing is you have to do like 10/10 nonchalantly to the board. You can't exile it because it's immune to target abilities. If you were to somehow put it into the graveyard, you would need to exile the whole board. You would need that white exile card, exile all creatures. Like that would be the only way to get rid of this. Why can't I think about what the name of that card is? Exile all creatures, and then you get a token thing. I can't remember what it's called. I'm drawing a blank. Anyways, that'd be like the only way to get rid of this. So in draft, that's not there. But good luck trying to get this. Like, you might be able to cheat this into... Well, no, you can't. If Progenitus would be put into a graveyard from anywhere, reveal it, and then shuffle it into the owner's library. So you can't even, like, get this into the graveyard and then... and then, like, cheat it from the graveyard onto the battlefield. I think this thing is going to be really hard to play. So, unfortunately, I'm not going to give Progenitus as high a score as I want to give it. So, it might be good and constructed when you have, like, a domain deck. I definitely think we're going to see it in, like, the Domain Overlords deck out there that is just generating a shit ton of mana that's all colors. So, I think we'll see play for this in constructed for sure. In draft, I think it's just too hard to play. It's going to be... Like, it's so powerful, but it's so hard to play. Like, I can't give it less than, like, a C- or even a C. But if you could figure out a way to reliably play it, like, this thing's insane. Yeah. I'm going to have to go with a C. And that, my friends, is the end of the multicolor. We've made it so far through white, blue, black, green, red, and now multicolor ahead of us. We still have colorless and the lands. And if you've made it this far in the video, you might as well do the thing. Like, subscribe, leave a comment below. It's the easiest way that you can help out myself and small creators alike. And it's the cheapest way because it's free. And it helps get it out to other people that like Magic the Gathering content and may want to watch this guy try to go pro in the next 5 years, and we're documenting that journey. So I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you go check out the other videos, and we will head on over and start talking about colorless next. And so until next time, we'll catch you all at the table. Awesome, awesome, awesome. If you guys are in the live stream, I appreciate you. Thank you for hanging out. We have one more to do. I think we will do colorless and the lands together. Maybe. Yeah, there's 17 colorless, I think, if I can count. 1, 17. And then there's 1, 14 lands. And we'll make those short. All right, let's chug some water. We're going to power through. Woo. All right. Should we stretch? 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 Get ready. We're going to do it. We're going to do it. We're going to do colorless. Now, do they have them in clumps? So they have a set of gain health lands. We have Evolving Wilds, which is the sack land. Secluded Courtyard, Rogue's Passage. Yeah. Maybe we'll do colorless and lands as one video. We'll just do it as one video. Okay, let's do the thing. What's up, everybody, and welcome to the final video in our Play Boosters review of the Foundations set. We've covered all of the colors and even the multicolor. We are now on to colorless and lands. So we're going to take a look at all of the colorless cards and the new lands in the Foundations Play Booster set. So those are the sets that are going to be used for the limited format, so draft and sealed events that you may attend. And we're going to look at this a little bit differently than you may have reviewed in the past. If you have watched another set review with other players, pro players, they rate cards a little differently. I rate cards at a pretty standard scale. So a C is something like a 2-2 for 2 or a 3-3 for 3. And then keywords help it go up. Synergies help it go up. Over cost makes it go down. The value's not there. It's too hard to synergize with. Will make it go down. And keeping in mind, the perspective that we're looking at is somebody that started playing Magic competitively in the summer of 2024. In that time, I have made a declaration that I'm trying to qualify for the Magic the Gathering Pro Tour in the next 5 years and making some progress. I've already got 2 RC invites for Portland and Charlotte coming up in the beginning of 2025. But drafting is definitely one of my weakest skill sets and something I had never done before this summer. So this is in part for me to learn, but this is also in part to be entertaining. So hopefully you will have a chance to see the new cards, put this on in the background, get a chance to review the new cards yourself, as well as get another guy's opinion on how he feels about these cards. And then for me, I'm going to learn and try to be entertaining all at the same time, because this is my first time seeing all these cards that, of course, aren't reprints. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into the very first card that we're going to see. These are going to be organized in ascending or increasing CMC and ascending or increasing rarity, however you want to say it. So we're going to start off with Quick Draw Katana at 2 CMC, or it's just 2 colorless. Artifact equipment at common, and that's a during your turn, equipped creatures get +2/+0 and has first strike, and it is an equip 2 cost. So getting first strike and +2/+0 is and it's an equip 2, so it's not going to equip as soon as it enters. So essentially you have to pay 4 for this. I would say it's tough. That's like a C-. It's a decent equipment. Like if you're playing an equipment commander deck, like it's a decent equipment. But I would put it at like a C-. It's a little pricey. Next up is Gold Vein Pick. I do believe this is a reprint. I've seen this card before. It's a 2 colorless artifact equipment. Equipped creature gets +1/+1 whenever equipped creature deals combat damage to a player. Create a treasure token and equip 1. I would say this is really good. This is like a C+, B-, maybe B territory. If you're building a commander deck that needs a bunch of like tokens and stuff, this goes up, obviously. But if you're looking at a draft format, this would be in that C+, B- territory. Next up is Campus Guide. It's 2 colorless. It's an artifact creature golem. It's a 2/1. When this creature enters, you may search your library for a basic land card, reveal it, and then shuffle and put that card on top. The fact that it's not going into your hand and that you're I mean, you are grooming your library at that point, but you're like kind of wasting a draw because you know what that's going to be. That's tough. I'm gonna put it at C minus. Gleaming Barrier, 2 colorless. It's an artifact creature wall. It's an 0/4 defender, and when this creature dies, create a treasure token. I'll take a 2 CMC 0/4 defender that gives me a token if it dies. Yeah, let's do that. Like B minus B. Like it's solid. I like it. Adventuring Gear is a 1 colorless artifact equipment. It's landfall. Whenever a land you control enters, equipped creature gets +2/+2 until end of turn and equip 1. So it's essentially a 2 cost equipment that gives something landfall. So I mean, it could scale with you. You could play this on turn 2, put it onto like a 1/1, and then turn 3 you drop a land, and now that 1/1 becomes a 3/3. I think it's pretty solid, like a C plus B minus territory. Fishing Pole is a 1 colorless artifact. This moves us from, actually, Adventuring Gear was our first uncommon. Fishing Pole is our second uncommon here. It's a 1 colorless artifact equipment. Equipped creature gets pay 1, tap fishing pole, put a bait counter on fishing pole. Whenever equipped creature becomes untapped, remove a bait counter from this equipment. If you do, create a 1/1 blue fish. Like, this is just so complicated to get working. And equip 2 costs, like it's going in like the C minus territory, maybe D plus territory. It's fun for the story. It's for the record books. Like it's really interesting. Equipped creature has pay 1, tap fishing pole, put a bait counter on fishing pole. So wait, you're not tapping. Oh, you are tapping the creature. So you're paying 1 and tapping the creature, and then tap fishing pole. I think it's too much to get it to work. So yeah, it's going C minus D plus territory. Ravenous Amulet is 2 colorless artifact. Pay 1, tap it, sacrifice a creature, draw a card, and put a soul counter on this artifact. Activate only as a sorcery. And then you can have pay 4, tap it, sacrifice this artifact. Each opponent loses life equal to the number of soul counters on this. I mean, this could work in a sacrifice deck. This is susceptible to removal as an artifact. There's not a lot of artifact removal, but there is a handful in draft. So I don't know. I would put this as like a C minus. It's not terribly great. Like generally your sack targets are going to have better payouts on something else that needs to sack things. So this would be rough. Yeah, it's going in that C minus territory. Swiftfoot Boots is 2 colorless. Equipped creature has hexproof and haste. I like it. And then put 1 on it. Yeah, this is solid. This has been around for a while. You're going to see it in a lot of commander decks. Giving something haste right off the bat, and it just stays on the board. Yeah, it's C plus B minus, maybe upwards of a B. It's definitely usable. Burnished Heart is a 3 colorless artifact creature elk. It's a 2/2, and then pay 3, sacrifice this creature, search your library for up to 2 basic land cards, put them onto the battlefield, tapped, and shuffle. So for 6, I'm getting a 2/2 and 2 lands. Like C plus B minus territory. Heraldic Banner is a 3 colorless artifact. As this creature enters, choose a color. Creatures you control of the chosen color get +1/+0. Add 1 mana of the chosen color. I like it. So tap it for any color. So you could literally just say green, and then everything that comes out of the green is +1/+0 for 3. I would say draftable. C plus B minus territory. Next up is Juggernaut, 4 colorless. Artifact creature, Juggernaut. This creature attacks each combat. If able, this creature can't be blocked by walls and is a 5/3 for 4. I think it's just standard, and can't be blocked by walls. It's kind of fun. So just a C. It's a solid C. Meteor Golem, something that's got definitely power crept over the years. 7 colorless artifact creature golem. When this creature enters, destroy target non-land permanent and opponent controls. It's just so expensive. 7 for a 3/3. Then you're paying a 4 on top of that to destroy a removal, or for removal. So like, it's like a C minus, maybe a D plus. Next up is Scrawling Crawler. Is a 3 colorless artifact creature Phyrexian construct that's a 3/2. At the beginning of your upkeep, each player draws a card. Whenever an opponent draws a card, that player loses 1 life. So this could work well in like a life lost, life gain deck. 3 mana for a 3/2, not terrible. But you are giving them cards, so they are losing a life every turn. Like, you'd really need a reason for them to lose life. Like, this is going to be fun in a commander deck if you build some synergies around it. But the fact that you're giving them a card for a life every turn, like, most people would take that all day, every day. So C minus, C territory. Leyline Axe. This one's funny. Somebody was showing, like, a turn 2 win with this, but Leyline Axe is 4 colorless artifact equipment. If this card is in your opening hand, you may begin the game with it on the battlefield. Equipped creature gets +1/+1 and has double strike and trample, and then equip 3. So this is just too expensive to really be viable in draft. It's like a D plus territory, D in draft. You could probably do something fun with it in constructed, or definitely commander. Solemn Simulacrum is a 4 colorless artifact creature golem 2/2. When this creature enters, you may search your library for a basic land card, put that card onto the battlefield, tap, then shuffle. When this creature dies, you may draw a card. Like, it's not terrible, but there's just so many better cards nowadays. Like, good old Solemn Simulacrum used to just be like insane, from my understanding. Like, even back when I was like playing Commander off and on, I knew about this card, but it's still solid in draft. Like, for 4, I'm getting a land, a guaranteed land onto the battlefield, and a 2/2, and then if it dies, I get to draw a card. I mean, I would take it as a body, for sure. Get the land and then get the card draw for 4. So like, it's not super expensive. That if this was 5, I'd say just like, don't even touch it. But at 4, it's draftable. It's draftable. So I would give it like a C, maybe a C minus. Banner of Kinship, 5 colorless artifact. As this artifact enters, choose a creature type. This artifact enters with a fellowship counter on it for each creature you control of the chosen type. Creatures you control of the chosen type get +1/+1. If you slap this bad boy down on an elf deck, it would be nuts. Or a goblin deck, nuts. Like, any tribe deck, nuts. Like, knights, nuts. Like, mice, nuts. Squirrels, nuts. Like, I should put this in my squirrel deck. Like, this is insane. This is great. It's so commander, tribe decks, like, insane. Go get this card. Or if it's a reprint, there you go. I don't know. I don't know if it's a reprint. However, for drafting, this is a build around B, maybe a B plus in my opinion, especially because you can make reliably an elf deck, reliably a knight deck, and reliably a goblin deck. I think dinosaurs might be too expensive. So this is a way to slap that down and just make all of those cards of that type insane. So build around B. Otherwise, avoid it if you're not a tribe deck. It's like an F if you're not a tribe deck. And then finally, one of my favorite cards. This was previewed, spoiled, whatever you want to call it. Sire of the Seven Deaths is 7 colorless. It's a creature, Eldrazi, 7/7, and it has 7 keywords: First Strike, Vigilance, Menace, Trample, Reach, Lifelink, and Ward. Pay 7 life. I absolutely am getting a copy of this, and it's going in my my Dominion deck. It's the T-Rex, the Indomitable Rex. I finally remembered its name. When you play it, you discard cards from your hand, and it gets all the keywords. this card's going in that deck. So I'm pretty stoked about this card. As far as Commander goes, hell yeah, sure, dude. This is an A plus, not an A plus, like B plus A minus territory. It's kind of expensive, but once it's out on the field, like it's so hard to deal with. But the pay 7 life is something that a lot of people can get around, right? So you can still destroy it, but the thing's crazy. So I do believe that will bring us to the end of colorless. And now we're going to transition from colorless into the lands, as this will be sort of quick. The new lands that we're going to see, maybe they're not new lands. Again, I'm a newer player, so this might be reprints of older stuff. But we're going to see the life gain tap lands, dual lands. So we got Tranquil Cove. The format's going to stay the same. Enters tapped. You gain 1 life, and then you can add 1 color of each of the dual lands. So we have the white-blue. We have the red-white with Wind-Scarred Crag. I do like the art on that one. Bloodfell Caves. Swiftwater Cliffs. Ooh, this is fun. Those are like crystals, big old crystals. Thornwood Falls. I've seen a scene similar to this. Blossoming Sands. Dismal Backwater in our blue-black. Then we have Rugged Highlands in our red-green. Then we have Scoured Barrens in the white-black. And then we have Jungle Hollow in the black-green. And I believe that's it for the dual lands. And now, as far as some of the special lands that we have, I know Evolving Wilds, I think, is a reprint. Yeah, it's a reprint. Is a tap this, sacrifice this land, search your library for a basic land card, put it onto the battlefield, tap, then shuffle. So a nice little sack land. This can help for a double landfall trigger. So that's nice if you are trying to do any landfall synergies. So definitely draftable. Plus, it could just be a way to do some mana fixing, so you can go get that rarer land, that maybe the one that you splashed. So definitely grab that. Next up is Secluded Courtyard. As this land enters, choose a creature type. Add 1 colorless to tap this, or tap this for 1 colorless. And then you can tap this for add 1 mana of any color. Spend this mana only to cast a creature spell of the chosen type, or activate an ability of a creature source of the chosen type. So this is good for tribe decks. It could also be something that you name the splash. Right, so if you have a splash in there, you're like, all right, I'm going to name this just so I can cast a splash. Other than that, it's the colorless. Next up is Rogue's Passage. Is a tap for 1 colorless, or you can pay for and tap this. Target creature can't be blocked this turn, which is really interesting. Are you going to play that in draft, though? Maybe if you're trying to get through. I don't know. I don't know if you play that in draft. You might skip that in draft. I would definitely grab Secluded Courtyard and the Evolving Wilds, though, especially for mana fixing. This might be a tough grab. Next up is the Soulstone Sanctuary. It's you can tap it to add colorless and then pay 4. This land becomes a 3/3 creature with vigilance, and all creature types, it's still a land. This is definitely playable in draft, especially if you have a tribe thing going on. If you have a tribe thing going on, this is all creature types, so you can get all the benefits. If you have something that's like, hey, all elves get +1/+1, like this is going to come out as a 4/4. I would definitely grab this in a tribe deck for sure, 100%. Awesome. So we have officially made it through the colorless and the lands in Foundations, thus completing all of the play booster cards that you're going to run to in your limited matches. So that's going to be your draft. That's going to be your sealed events that you do. And if you've made it this far in the video, you might as well do the thing. Like, subscribe, follow, leave a comment. We appreciate all the support. That's the best and easiest and freest way you can support content creators, is simply just by engaging in the content. But I'm super stoked that we have managed to review this entire set, and we're going to look into potentially reviewing the rest of the non-play booster cards as well. So stay tuned. That may or may not be coming out, because I know the set officially releases in 2 days of the recording of this video. But I appreciate all of you, and until next time, we'll catch you at the table. Awesome, awesome, awesome. We have finished the play booster set. We got a question here. Pretty much uncheatable and unblockable. Yeah, it's insane, Juso, for sure. So, we have managed to finish all of the play booster cards and the lands. So what we have next, let me see, we'll just show you the browser here. What we have next is we could do, so there's the special guests that are not standard legal. So I'm probably not going to do the special guests. Maybe we will. How many of these are there? How many special guests are there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 11 special guests. Maybe we'll do one short video on the special guests. Okay. And then we have the standard legal, but not in play booster cards. So these will be part of standard for the next 5 years. So we should probably do these ones as well. Okay, so this is going to be like a full do it all over again. Yeah. There's quite a few of these ones. Oh, there's so many. What is that one? Ball lightning. So many goblin red cards. Gitu Lava Runner. Scorching Dragonfire. There we go. That's staying for the next 5 years. Didn't we just have that in Duskborn, though? Viashino Pyromancer. It's more burn. Gotta see which cards are good for my burn deck. Obliterating Bolt. Okay, so, like I said, that was a lot of work. Are these all reprints or what? I think most of them are reprints. I think most of the new cards are in the play boosters, and then in the rest of the set, yeah, I think these are all reprints. Yeah, they're mostly reprints. Yeah, I'm pretty sure they're mostly reprints. Pacifism. Disenchant. This is cool. The art on this is cool. All right. So with that, though, I've been live for about 3.5 hours. I'm going to take a dinner break. If you've hang out in the live stream and haven't done so, consider following, subscribing if you're on YouTube, follow if you're on Twitch. I am going to go eat dinner and then rest my voice for a little bit. And then I'm going to come back and I'm going to do the rest of the set. I'm going to do the rest of the Foundation Standard Legal set. And so we're going to go through white, blue, black, green, red, all the things. So I will be back in like an hour and a half. Like an hour and 15. So I'll be back around 7 p.m. Eastern time, and then we will cruise through these because it took me about 3.5 hours to do all of these. So we'll do the same thing with these ones. And we're not gonna have to give ratings. We're just gonna read through them pretty quickly. Do I want to do this? Do I want to go through all these? I think it's important to know the set, so we'll go through them. I don't know. I'll think about it. Anyways, I'm taking a break for dinner. I appreciate everybody hanging out. I normally stream Monday through Friday. Start time sometime between 6 a.m. and 8 a.m. Eastern time, and I usually go for 3 or 4 hours in the morning. So if you haven't caught one of those streams, that's when I normally stream. I just needed to get this done, and then I need to still edit these videos and start posting those videos as well. So all that to be said, I appreciate everybody. Thank you for hanging out with me, and until next time, we'll catch you in a little bit.